Oh, stop. You don't have to do that. Thank you, though. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Um, can you hear me? Can you see me? Does this work? Hey, all right. Happy Wednesday. Thank you. It is me, Dr. Elliot Morgan. Um, and look at that. The chat's ready to I'm sure waves of people um will be coming. I think they say to start streaming right in the middle of everyone's workday. The way to go. So it's loud and clear. Excellent. We're off to a great start. It's already better than the last one, right, Jesse? You right? Anyway, um, how are you guys? How are you doing? Should we go around? There's like 10 people. It's five. Should we just introduce ourselves? My name is Dr. Elliot Morgan. Thank you. If I say it enough, it will feel like I can actually take some ownership over it, but I'm not there yet. Um, should we go around the room? Does anybody want to do an icebreaker? I don't want to do that. Okay, let's see here. Do people? I put it out on Twitter, so that ought to get ready. Get ready, folks. And I have this laptop where the battery's broken. And let's check my email real quick. Someone from 15 years ago is asking if I would like to make some merch with them. Thank you to KMC9918 for following me on Twitch. I appreciate that. And I think with the 3 viewers, I might be able to be like a Twitch or a Twitcher soon. So good morning. Thank you, doctors and doctors. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. I mean, we got a lot to get through today. I'm not going to wait on the masses. We're just going to dive into it. If that works for you. The blue wave is coming. But I don't know if you know much about blue waves. They tend to kind of turn into ripples pretty quick. But who knows? We'll see. Today's not going to be a super political episode because I was looking at the news and I don't want to talk about it. And unless you guys want to talk about tariffs, and I don't want to talk about tariffs, or the price of oil or gas or skyrocketing inflation, not what I'm into. You know, it's a little bit of a bummer, and I'm still getting my bearings here. So we're going to go ahead and begin as we did last time with maybe not like a meditation, because we're going to definitely be diving into some new age stuff real soon. And that has, I think, enough meditation to go around. So I do think we can get like centered, though. And I know that sounds new agey, but I think it's important, and I think that it benefits everybody. So are you guys good for that? Great. Let me see if this is still working according to the Restream service, which I can remove their branding if I upgrade. And I'm not gonna. Okay, cool. I can click this. Wow, this is fun, y'all. Oh wow, we're crushing it. All right, so here we go. Oh, can't look at myself. All right, so I just have to figure out. Do you love the setup? Thank you. Do you see how I have lights behind me? Isn't that like you know, like the yeah, it's in that isn't that what we're doing here? You know, you put the all right. I don't have to keep mentioning that. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this together. We're going to be watching a lot of stuff together today. We're going to be talking about UFO files. And I have created a separate Instagram account specifically for this, and my goal is to make the worst possible algorithm. Mostly, I want it to be like AI, Slop, and Manosphere stuff. Not that, no judgment, but I think it'll be very fun. And so the first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. But the first detour is going to be me looking at all these buttons and figuring out. Okay, here we go. Watch this. You guys ready? Okay.
These buckets are filled with grapes. What kind of grapes?
These are filled with Chamberson grapes, and the winner this Saturday, who's studying music, eating international foods, having wine tours and tastings, vineyard tours, seminars, arts and crafts. It's a lot of fun, a whole day. Stop. Oh, 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 I can't, ow, 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 oh, stop, I can't breathe. Stop.
Oh,
boy,
dear.
I think she's actually hurt.
No,
there.
I think she is.
Yeah, she's
Ouch.
hurt. She took a hard fall off there. Boy,
Okay.
gosh, I hope she's okay.
Okay, we're going to make sure she is.
We'll try and
That's
check
the
on
thing.
her and get back
All
to you
right.
as soon as we can.
We'll be back right after this. Gee.
So I've like definitely seen that video before, and
These buckets are filled with grapes. What kind of grapes?
These are filled with Chamberson grapes, and
I never really caught how resentful that woman at the end is. Let's watch that again. Let's listen to we have to listen to the sounds.
tours, seminars, arts and crafts. It's a lot of fun, a whole day. Stop. Oh, 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 I can't, ow, ow, oh, stop,
Okay. Jason Bowie, regarding the UFO files. So I have not dug in much to the UFO files. And so I'm going to let other people do it for me, but I'm not familiar with the UFO site that straight up looks like a fake screen from the X-Files. But I do like the idea of starting these streams with old classic videos, just to be very clear. I like the idea of finding these, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel old, but it also reconnects me with my love for this incredible platform. So, should we dive into the UFOs already? All right, here's how I feel about UFOs. First and foremost, I'm a huge fan. I think everybody gets one conspiracy theory in life. You can change them at any point, but you can only ever have at most one. You also have to have a minimum of one. If you do not believe in any conspiracy theories, that leaves other conspiracy theories for other people to grab. There's only a set amount. So everyone should pick one conspiracy theory and stick to it and dive in as much as you can. Eventually, you might find that there's not much there, and then you can find a new conspiracy theory. My personal favorite is the UFO stuff. However, I am not a big fan of the idea of UFOs being like a government secret. And there's multiple reasons for that, which we're going to get into, but the big one is I like a guy named, let me see here, Cam Chap. Oh, yes. The big reason is I like a scholar by the name of Jeffrey Kripal. He is a professor of religion at Rice University, and he writes about a lot of really weird stuff, but I also think he's very smart, and one of his ideas regarding UFOs, or like the idea that the government is like hiding spacecraft from outer space from us, he reads as a basically Cold War relic. Like it's a product of the Cold War, of being like, hey, we got to watch out for these guys, and also they're going to come after us, they're going to invade us, and they're going to take over, so we need to give more money to the military. And so when you see the Department of War and they're like, look at all these UFO. There's a very, just the image of that, I think, is at least in support of that idea. So I am more interested in experiencers. I think that that's very interesting, what people actually see and go through. These videos, I have not seen anything yet that I think is even remotely compelling. But I could be wrong. At first, I thought maybe there was one, and then I was like, probably not, though. And so we're going to get into some of that, too. But first, I found this woman. Okay. So, okay. I'm going to try real hard not to, like, be a jerk. But, You know, star seeds. Star seeds, I think, as far as I understand, are people who have like, uh, they believe that they are some kind of like an alien and that they are living in like a human body, but they've become conscious of their, I guess, divine or cosmic origins. And I think most of it's harmless, and we can talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and just let's do it, right? I mean, we have a lot to get through. Okay, this is Lily Nova Starseed, and I'm not gonna be a jerk. I'll tell you that. I am not gonna be a jerk. Oh. I'm gonna be chill and I'm gonna be cool and nice. This is harmless. Okay? And she means no harm. Alright, here we go. So the title of this video is New UFO Files Drop. Pastors told to prepare. Let's see. Am I sure? No, I'm not. Okay, let's see here how this goes. So, all right. In my anecdotally, the people I see who are starseeds, oddly enough, tend to be sort of morphologically similar in that they kind of look like traditionally attractive people. But they're very sincere in their belief that they are starseeds. And I think that's cool.
On
No.
war.
I have not watched this, so I'm
Hello,
hoping
everybody, and happy.
I'm hoping this is a good summary of like the quality UFO videos, and then we can go from there. And then we're gonna look at some folks debunking some stuff, and then we're gonna look at what Tom DeLonge said of Blink 182, and we'll see what happens.
Happy Friday. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Today is an interesting day because we just had some UFO files that have
Thank you, Suelo, for subscribing.
just been dropped today as part of a disclosure initiative. Trump's official statement: as for my promise to you, the Department of War has released the first trench of the UFO UAP files to the public for their review and study. In an effort for complete and maximum transparency, it was my honor to direct my admin to identify and provide government files released to alien and ET life, unidentified aerial phenomenon,
Can you guys hear okay?
unidentified flying objects. The people can decide for themselves what the hell is going on. Have fun and enjoy. So these files were just released on
May 8th.
war.gov/UFO. I can go ahead and I'll share my screen and show the website.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
Here's the
Yeah.
website. If you guys want to take a look at it. I haven't gone through all of these, but
Broadly speaking, I think much of the UFO fascination stems from what is called in depth psychology a spiritual or religious function of the psyche, which happens to be one of the major points of deviation between Jung and Freud. Freud felt that religious experiences were basically substitutes or sublimations of some sort of Oedipal complex, whereas Jung was like, I actually think it's more of like a spiritual thing, and it's actually seeking transcendence. And if you go back through the history of humanity, we've always sort of looked to the cosmos in order to orient ourselves in some capacity. And so the idea is that all of us in some way have a proclivity or desire, latent or otherwise, to kind of connect with something like beyond ourselves. And so that can manifest in any number of ways, but it is, I would say, probably considered to be fairly universal, if that makes sense, even for those who are highly rational. And that's where I think the UFO stuff comes into play, because the traditional like extraterrestrial hypothesis allows one to sort of feel a sense of transcendence, but still exist within what they consider to be a realm of rationality.
But apparently there is some new stuff as well as a lot of old stuff. Some people are calling this a nothing burger, but I think it could be a step in the right direction. And it's really interesting because here's a post from Anna Paulina Luna, who's been a big advocate for disclosure. She also has a hearing on MK Ultra coming up May 13th, I believe. She posted this morning.
She's
Additional
freezing. I'm not
releases are
freezing.
expected
Okay.
in the coming weeks. A second trench of documents, including additional requested video footage, is anticipated within approximately 30 days. Further records, videos, imagery, and investigative materials will continue to be released on a rolling basis. So this seems to be the start of disclosure. Now, we don't want to rely on the government for disclosure. There's so many whistleblowers who are out there, contactees who are out there.
Disclosure, the fantasy that there's going to be some grand moment of disclosure is also a very fascinating aspect of ufology.
Showing incredible footage, sharing incredible contact stories. This has been going on for a long time. But some people, the normies, if you will, they need the government to say, yes, this exists and this is happening. There's a bit of limited disclosure going on here, but I think it could be a step in the right direction. And it seems to be a campaign because you have, let me share the image file here. Disclosure Day.
Okay. So, side note, I'm not a huge fan of everyone saying that everything is a distraction, and I think that I understand like the rhetorical goals of calling things a distraction because you're trying to urge people to like stay focused on something without getting distracted by the next shiny UFO thing. I get the goal, but the problem with that is that like not everything is a distraction. Like the war in Iran, for example, that's something that's been going on or sort of boiling under the surface for quite a while. Multiple things can be happening at the same time for multiple reasons. This, I think, though, is a distraction, just to be very, very clear. However, I am looking forward to Disclosure Day because I love UFOs.
So they're saying that more files will be released within the next 30 days. This is just the beginning. Even if it's a lot of stuff that we already know, some new stuff. And
Like
I'm going
what?
to share some of the footage with you guys in just a moment.
Thank you.
And I'm sure there's a lot of keyboard warriors going out there and disclosure warriors who are dissecting the files right now on the website. But we have Disclosure Day coming out June 12th in almost exactly 1 month. So this seems to be a campaign geared towards making this a big deal. With that movie coming out
Or
within the same time frame that more files are going to be dropped.
Or they knew that the movie was coming out and that it would be part of like the zeitgeist, which would help in the distraction thing. It's hard to prove either one, I guess.
I find that really interesting.
I don't.
Now, we also have information about pastors, religious figures being
Great marketing.
debriefed on alien life and telling them to prepare their people for disclosure. I'm going to share a couple of clips from that. But first, I'm going to show this news post from Fox News today.
Great.
First batch of files related to UFOs and alien life.
So is the truth really out there?
Senior White House
They love
correspondent
that
Peter
line.
Doocy joins us live with the details.
Every news story about UFOs has to include the line, "Is the truth really out there?" It's great.
What have you learned, Peter?
Good morning. So, a White House official left this hard drive on my desk overnight. You can see on it, it says AARO files copy 2 of 3. That is the all domain resolution office copy 2 of 3. This is the first big batch of UFO disclosure ordered by
right there.
President Trump. Some of the clips and videos on there have
They
popped
have
up
props.
different places before. Some of them have not, and we have been going through this all morning and overnight to try to put together some of the best videos so we can all look at this together. This is a world exclusive right here. So let's go to the first clip. Over the skies of the United Arab Emirates in June 2024. An inverted teardrop with a vertically linear trailing mass, as described by the War Department, suspended below. The War Department cannot say for sure what this is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP report.
There's no
the
vault.
Next video,
the hard drive.
over the skies of Iraq, December 2022, moving bottom left to top right of the field of view.
I don't know, man. I'm not an entomologist, but I'm thinking bugs most of the time. I'm thinking a lot of these are bugs.
All CENTCOM gets from this.
And for the record, I want to believe so badly. So I am not trying to poo-poo or be a skeptic or, as she said, a keyboard warrior. Okay? I just think it's really important that when something looks like a little bit like a bug, or it could be a UFO, you're like, well, what do we know exists?
This is an area of contrast. That's what they describe it as. It is officially still listed as an unresolved UAP report. Next video, over the skies of Greece, October 2023. What is described as a small and circular UAP flying near the surface of the ocean towards land. CENTCOM can't tell us what it is. It is officially listed as an unresolved UAP.
The joke of it being Icarus or Hermes is like the idea that like UFO. Tell me if I'm like stopping and starting too much, but isn't that the point? Let me know if it gets annoying. But the idea is that like people see angels and all that stuff, and it matches the technology of whatever your like culture is at the time. So like we're in a post going to the moon culture, and so we think of UFOs and space travel as like the most viable option. And then in previous centuries, it would have been, you know, angels, demons, which I think many people still believe, and you know, ghosts, all that stuff. The idea is that it's all sort of different masks wearing the same thing. That's kind of Jacques Vallée's whole thing. I don't know if he's still SuperNet, but I think that was passport to what, something Magonia? Passport to Magonia. Yeah, from Folklore to Flying Saucers. Anyway.
UAP report. Within the last 2 minutes, all of these videos
Thank you guys
have gone
for Thanks for gifting 5 subs, Jesse.
Live on war.gov/UFO, and a White House official tells Fox First, while past administrations sought to discredit or dissuade the American people, President Trump is focused on providing maximum transparency to the public, who can ultimately make up their own minds about the information contained in these files. And there's also a fresh look at some historical records. There's this from Apollo 17 included in this big document dump.
This I think is interesting. I like the Apollo one.
One of the astronauts says, we've got a few very bright particles or fragments or something that go drifting by as we maneuver.
Sorry, Jesse.
The control center says, Roger, understood. Another astronaut says, there's a whole bunch of big ones on my window down there, just bright. It looks like the 4th of July out of Ron's window. Another astronaut says, yes, now you can see some of them in shape. They're very jagged, angular fragments that are tumbling. This exchange has long been dismissed as floating insulation. But now the White House is saying, while this photo has been previously released and discussed by keen observers, there is no consensus about the nature of the anomaly. And this all started, of course, because we asked the president about it in February.
Just to end on the important note, it's all because Donald Trump is the most transparent president we've ever had.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Barack Obama saying aliens are real was an absurd news headline that people actually took seriously, in my humble opinion. He was, in my opinion, clearly not talking about aliens being like here. He was talking about the mathematical, like, certainty that they exist somewhere.
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know,
the aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information.
They are real.
He's not supposed to be doing that. Well, he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it.
So the government is trying to answer the question, do aliens exist? And the answer is, they don't know, but in an effort of transparency, they are giving us all of the material that they are working with as they try to answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, they do know.
Break it down, Lily.
At least some of them do know.
I don't think
So
they
it's
do.
interesting the way that they are rolling this out. And also interesting, he said that this is in response to us asking for it, demanding
Hit that talking point.
transparency.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's us using our throat chakra. That's us using our voice. That's us saying that we are ready
level 2.
for this, even though they're not disclosing everything, obviously, and they're doing it in kind of this slow drip disclosure way, leaving out a lot.
Mhm.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. At
Yeah.
least some of them. Maybe not all of them are in the know, but at least some of them are.
They do know what they're doing.
You know, and the Epstein files have been brought up a lot.
Mm.
Some people think this may be a distraction from the Epstein files, but
You don't say.
you know, that could be a bit of the case.
A bit.
But also, what if aliens and alien technology are within the Epstein files?
Oh boy.
And we have to disclose alien life and some of this technology before the rest of the Epstein files can come out.
I mean, like, she means no harm. She means no harm. It's harmless. It's just the connection, the way our brains are like, well, what if, you know, this? And it's just, I don't know, man. That was a tough one. Yeah, maybe the Epstein files have the UFO files in them, and so they're releasing the UFO files that are inconclusive, but potentially also in the Epstein files. It's just really wanting to maintain your belief and protect it's confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance, etc.
Just a thought. Let me know what your thoughts are.
And some other things, but she means well.
Either way, I think this is a step in the right direction. We just have to be mindful of psyops, and obviously they're this is a campaign. The way that this is rolling out is not by accident. It's very calculated, in my opinion.
I agree, Lily.
Also interesting, we've got the religious aspect.
We do.
Now I'm going to share a video.
You could call it an innate function.
It's been going viral this week.
Ooh, I love when things go viral.
There's going to be a release concerning aliens.
Every setup.
And concerning
looks like this.
Unidentified flying object spacecraft that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet.
Well, that would.
Very strange reptilian-looking creatures. And other things that almost sound like something out of a sci-fi movie or an Orson Welles book.
Very fascinating. So apparently a bunch of
There's
pastors
going to be
maybe like a chicken egg scenario going on here, you know? Like, man, isn't it crazy how it aligns? I'm being very skeptical, but secretly I believe every word that she's saying, just to be clear.
Have been briefed on alien life and are being told to prepare your people. Now, there's a lot of very deep religious programming. There's a lot of controversy going around, and even what's his name, the vice president, coming out and calling them demons.
First of all, did she just forget my name? Show some respect. She didn't even wear a suit. seamless transition.
A lot of
The fact that you forgot JD Vance's name is so funny.
time when I've shared my UFO footage over the last 6 years, which is how I got onto this path. I was a space photographer and a nutritionist. And while I was out shooting space photography, I started being visited by UFOs and documenting these encounters. I have tons of footage, some of which is on my YouTube channel, my website, and my book. And when I would share this online,
The footage is
because
on the
that was
book?
part of
Just
my
kidding.
mission, at
Pedantic,
least in the
rude.
beginning, was to expose and provide some evidence for this. A lot of people think that they're demons, and it all exists, people. Demons, angels, aliens. Some aliens are benevolent.
Or-
We have many benevolent aliens, extraterrestrials, who are helping. We also do have negative extraterrestrials, like the reptilian factions. It all exists. So it's interesting. There's this, there's a big push.
Or there is something at best. Maybe there is something and we don't know what it is, and that's at most. You know? But you gotta love the like immediate literalizing of like these are all actually real. I tend to think that they're not, and that they tend to be more like metaphors, but we don't need to get into that just yet. But you can look at these things in different ways, and I don't think that, well, there's different sects, and there's like an intergalactic federation, and there's reptilians, and there's grays, and then there's the little tiny ones that are called gnomons, or they're gnome-like, and that is written about in the book The Supernatural by Whitley Strieber and Jeffrey Kripal, and Jeffrey Kripal kind of like interprets Whitley Strieber. If you don't know who Whitley Strieber is the writer of the book Communion, and it was a huge bestseller at the time. He got tens of thousands of pieces of fan mail, and it was about his encounter or his abduction. It's also where we get the kind of trope of probing. I don't want to use the word. I'm not exactly sure what the rules are on it, but you can imagine that. That's very funny. I have no idea where that vine is. So anyway, I Whitley Strieber wrote Communion, and that's where we actually largely get the image of the gray alien. It was the book cover for it. And he wrote a book with Jeffrey Kripal, and Jeffrey Kripal kind of like interpreted what he was saying. And it's a really interesting read on this stuff, but it also doesn't mean you have to take it literally as they are doing. So literalizing is not always a good thing.
Push for their demons, and then there's a push on the other side. You have to prepare your people, the people who have are deep within the religious programming, if you will.
Ooh, shots fired.
They've got an awakening coming. Another clip, Journey to Truth podcast just recently shared this, and this kind of freaked me out a little bit.
I can make some books, yeah.
It's some
Or a book
pastors
list.
talking about this. I'm going to go ahead and
Freudian
play it.
slip.
Recently just had a clandestine meeting in the middle of the woods, Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Yep.
And it was a very serious meeting. I mean, we're not having this conversation today just because we're trying to find something to talk about.
Yep.
This was some information that filled in some spaces, filled in some holes with people who know what they're talking about. We had to turn our phones on airplane mode.
We did.
This was a very I don't want to say confidential, very confidential meeting.
It was.
So we're going to be
Secret
in
society.
a veiled way, because there's some things we can't
Illuminati.
disclose.
That's right.
That we're going to be sharing some things that we learned in the last 24 hours. So
It's about we were approached because of both of our programs.
Yes.
And some of the prophetic things I've shared and the reams of information you've put out over the several years. They are gearing us up for the great deception that I believe what they're going to release is going to so fit the narrative. They're going to say Jesus was a spirit, enlightened being that came down, however they frame it with their terminology. He came down and he was one of these star people. And they're going to go down this whole avenue and they're going to try to lay over
Ooh, she's not gonna like
Scripture
this.
all of their
She's not going to like this.
narrative, which is really demonic in origin. Can you share some of that?
yeah, and they're not going to be defamatory. They're not going to attack Christianity. They're going to say, "Oh, you're close.
You're close.
You're close. Here's what actually happened.
Come on. Yeah,
Here's
Alan,
what
that's
really
right.
happened." And
Yep.
I've written about this. I believe in summoning the demon, but for decades. For a
Well,
very
you
long
have the
time.
other book. What is it? Antichrist?
Yeah, AI, Aliens and the Antichrist.
Yeah, that.
What do you got, Lily?
Wow. Very interesting. So that's an example of some of these religious figures getting ahead of the curve and warning people that they're going to come out and it's going to be a great deception and it's actually demonic in nature. You know, and even some of these contact films and UFO disclosure films, you have sort of the radical religious people who really are trying to prevent disclosure. Now it all exists, people, all of it. It all exists. And Jesus or Yeshua, there's more to his life than we have been told. There's been a lot of things that have been left out of the Bible. So that's something that people are going to have to reckon with. But it looks like we're going to be receiving some pushback, or there's some people already planning ahead for that to try and spin the narrative. Anyway, very interesting stuff. So we'll see what comes out, what continues to come out from these declassified documents and what else comes up over the next month.
Okay.
Again, like I said, they're planning on releasing more files within the next 30 days. So it looks like we've got a pretty crazy year ahead of us.
I recall there being other files too that they're supposed to release more of. Am I misremembering that? I'm not saying they're not going to release more of these files. I'm just saying I think it's interesting that they have an issue with like just releasing, like we have these hard drives that are like this big and they have all these UFO, but like how many, what, like two handfuls of hard drives? It just release them. It's almost like it's a parrot, you know, that you're kind of like they're waving around. It's jangling keys.
Let's see if there's anything else. I won't be back Sunday for my typical live stream, but I will be interviewing an Army insider, JP Missions, who many of you guys have probably heard of.
All right.
He's had a lot of.
Are we enjoying this so far? Was that cool? Should we look at more of her stuff? That honestly, I mean, was not bad. She could have been way stranger. And I don't know I don't know if there's one. Let's see. Let's go with videos and then like popular. All right, so 8 months ago, UFO fleet appears on camera. And then we're going to get into excuse me, some Mick West debunking, and we're going to talk about Mick West a little bit. But first, okay, no, I definitely want to watch your Starseed DNA. Is that cool? There's UFO fleet appears on camera. I'm not sold, but activating my Starseed DNA does sound like something that would really help me out.
To my channel, where we discuss the universe, consciousness, star beings, UFOs, star seeds, and spirituality. As many of you probably already know, when COVID happened, I went outside under the stars and was out there every night, and UFOs began visiting me. I developed a relationship with these beings. I was able to communicate with them, see them.
I do love this guy, and this is a little like gnome, but it broke. It was a Christmas gift and it broke in the package, and so it falls off a lot, and I just haven't had any super glue around me. But yeah, it's an alien holding a little garden gnome and kind of cradling it as the gnome looks up at it, and I really like it.
Star beings came to me with a message, and one of the first big messages that they conveyed to me was DNA, how important it was. As I began meditating and connecting with them more, they told me that they were...
How important DNA is? I don't know. Something about that seems a little, I don't know, you know, a little eugenics-y, I guess. All right, I'm bored with this. We're going to get out of here. God bless you, Lily. We'll see more of you in the future. Love what you're doing. Let's watch a debunking. So when all of these files got dropped, there was one particular one that did catch my eye that I was like, that looks really interesting. And as is the case with most things when it comes to UFOs, I enjoy that little brief moment of like, maybe, you know, and I think that's really the value in being into UFOs. It gets you out of your normal brain space a little bit, and that's fun. And I also think that is a two-sided coin or whatever, because that idea of like, oh, this is just fun is a really easy way for, I think, as she was talking about, your brain to get kind of programmed or reprogrammed. So you have to be very careful about enjoying it as a fantasy and not letting it slip over into literalism. But we can now look to the video that I enjoy. I think this is the one anyway. Yeah. So this is the video that I liked a lot. And the idea is that it is a balloon. It's usually a balloon or a bug or a flare or what's the other one? Gas, something gas. But that's not to say that there's not real weird stuff out there. Okay, I just think it's like this much compared to what people act like it is.
The recent release of UFO videos by the Pentagon is a mixed bag. They all seem to be thermal videos from the MQ-9 Reaper drone, mostly of small or faraway objects that the drone operator just happens to catch in the camera while zooming in on something else.
Bug.
So they tend to be grainy, with very strong parallax components, and really not that impressive. But this video has caught people's attention. It seems to show a small object flying in and out of some wind turbines, making sudden movements, and even entirely changing direction. This prompted Admiral Tim Gallaudet of the Sol Foundation to say,
"The one that stood out to me is this UFO that is moving around a wind farm in the Indo-Pacific region."
This one is insane. This image is like, it really is, I don't understand why you would put, well, I do understand why you would put it in there, but it's like, and they even say that it's a artist rendition of like eyewitness accounts. Now, I do think eyewitness accounts are oftentimes more interesting than a lot of the video stuff because they tend to have more details. But when you come up with stuff like this, and then you release it amongst a bunch of other nondescript videos, I think it gives you, it sort of legitimizes it at first, where you go, oh, you know, because you're already trying to find out whether that spec is a whatever. So you just throw in this little artist rendition. I would contend is a little bit of a play.
Region. And it's absolutely remarkable that this object is maneuvering around these wind turbines, and it can't be explained.
Can't be explained? Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
The video shares some aspects with others in this release. It's thermal, looks like black is hot, it's really zoomed in, it's shot from a moving aircraft, the MQ-9 drone, which is cruising at around 200 miles per hour. It's also being manually tracked. There's no lock on the object, so the drone operator is following it around with manual controls using a joystick, kind of like an Xbox controller. So the camera sways around a lot. This creates the illusion that the object itself is moving erratically. That happens because there's lots of stuff on screen that is fixed in position relative to the camera. There's the on-screen display, mostly covered by these black boxes, but there's also a layer of sensor noise that is easily mistaken for background. The object moves relative to this when the operator manually tracks it, but how is it actually moving relative to the real background? The way to find out is to stabilize it, which I did with Sitrek's built-in tracking tools, generating a stabilized video. So now we see, rather than weaving around on screen, the object is actually traveling in a relatively straight line with respect to the background. This is very consistent with something like a balloon and the parallax effect from the camera moving, like we've seen with many other videos like Go Fast and Aguadilla. But doesn't it go behind the wind turbines? Actually, no. There's not a single frame of the video where it's hidden by the turbines. We do see it get a bit dimmer, but that's explainable simply by a local
We out here
area
debunking
automatic gain
UFOs.
control or other video contrast or sharpening adjustments. The bottom line here is that if it went behind a turbine, there would be frames where you can't see it. That doesn't happen. It's in front of them. But then, we see the object appear to change direction, slowing down and going back the way it came. How can that be parallax? Easy. If the drone, moving at constant speed, just did a 180-degree turn to keep the object in range while keeping the camera pointing at the object, then you get the same effect. Here's what this might look like. There's a drone at about 33,000 feet and a balloon just drifting at 9,000 feet.
Okay.
The camera is really zoomed in. I'm using the stabilized video for comparison. With the drone simply flying straight for a while and then making a turn, we get the exact same effect. The object, in this case a 3-foot wide sphere, seems to be skimming along close to the turbines, which are actually 10 miles behind it. When the drone makes a 180-degree turn over 30 seconds, the object seems to slow down, turn towards the camera, and then go back the way it came. Did we explain it? Not perfectly, as the exact time and location are not known, so this recreation is an approximation. But we've shown that it's not weaving in and out of the turbines, it's not making sudden movements, and its overall path is entirely consistent with a balloon and parallax.
Yeah, and a UFO.
Other videos in this release are similar. We get the same illusions of motions from the manual tracking and the sensor noise. We can remove this illusion with stabilization. What remains is, unfortunately, mundane-looking objects moving in mundane ways, simply too far away to be identified, but probably balloons. The recent
shouldn't like folks like Lily who are like big believers in this stuff, shouldn't they like, wouldn't you feel like some sense of anger because this took like a day for someone to be like, yeah, no, it's probably a balloon. So either they don't have the expertise to deduce it's a balloon, or it's not a balloon and it's a UFO, or they purposefully released a bunch of trash in order to get people excited and interested and start this very discussion as a distraction, which is the option that I think I'm going for. Anyway, hi everyone, welcome to the Dr. Elliot Morgan stream. As you can see, we are really doing some highbrow stuff here today. Next up, I don't like how it starts automatically, but okay. So the Soul Foundation is a nonprofit, and I thought this would be fun to listen to. They're a nonprofit that's specifically all about UAPs and the academic study of them. I'm interested in that, not from a science perspective, but from a more psychological perspective and what people get out of belief in UFOs, which is different than what a bunch of this stuff is. But there are some smarty pants in this. Yes, exactly, like feet. And who knows? That might play more in, I guess, like the Freudian interpretation of UFOs, which is basically that it's about people being confused about how women work, is my understanding. Which, who among us, you know? All right, so let's see here. This is a video on, it's called New Details. It was 2 months ago. New details on the alleged UAP briefing given to President Carter. This is a old story in UFO lore about how the late President Carter, was briefed on UFOs, and it supposedly brought him to tears. Now, I think some of the folks involved in the Soul Foundation are very smart. I'm not totally sold on what they are talking about. Gary Nolan is a really smart dude, objectively, I think. But I think you can be an incredibly brilliant person and be, you know, maybe a little bit wrong or overly sure of yourself, because you can't help this stuff. You know, like you're going to end up having some confirmation. I do. You probably just saw like 19 instances of it. So anyway, this is Peter Scoffish, I think. And he's going to be talking to a guy about new details about this interaction between the late President Carter and how it
Eric
upset
Davis,
him.
physicist Eric Davis, is with us as our guest. And Eric, thank you again.
Also, Eric Davis is another heavy hitter. So one other fact about ufology that I think is very fascinating, and it's one of the reasons I would love to one day write like Yeah, get ready, everybody. Get your notepads and everything. I got my pen. One of the reasons I would love to write like a Veep style comedy about disclosure is because if you get into this world, there's like 10 people, and they all tend to be like the same people, and over and over and over again, and they all know each other and they all work together. And I'm not saying that delegitimizes it. I'm just saying it's the same cast of characters, and you have folks like Lou Elizondo. I read Lou Elizondo's book that he came out with recently called Imminent, and there's a little bit of like a pick-me quality in that book going on. He tries really hard to legitimize himself and to kind of, I would say he protests a little too much in terms of his patriotism and his acting in good faith. But hey, maybe he is. I don't see it so much. And then the other interpretation is that there are the same people because there's only so many people who are brave enough to come forward because of the stigma around ufology. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know if there's that much of a stigma anymore. So I don't know how much that's like a red herring. But anyway, let's hear about. I have not watched this. We'll see how it goes. If you get bored, just let me know. We will move on.
For this abundant testimony and for being so detailed in your responses. Is very useful to people.
I actually like these guys, to be clear.
I want to,
which is different than believing them, just to be clear.
Now jump into another controversial matter, which you may or may not be able to speak about, which is that I think you might have had contact not with another president, but with the member of, with a cabinet member of another presidential administration.
Oh gosh, I'm at a loss on that.
In which you might have heard some
I'll
things
need a little
about,
bit more detail to try to pull
that president's briefing.
I think I'm wondering, are you talking about the Carter administration? Yeah, that there was the director of the staff personnel in the White House, or I guess they call it the White House personnel or White House staff personnel director. Yeah, White House staff personnel director. And he later became, he was assistant to the president, and I think he later on became chief of staff. And before that, though, he was the special trade representative to the United Nations, I think. And that individual was in the, reporting to President Jimmy Carter.
Titles.
And
they love their titles.
He had special knowledge of a briefing that Carter received in June of 1977. It was an economic meeting.
To go back to what someone said earlier about books, I do think The Supernatural by Whitley Strieber and Jeffrey Kripal is really interesting. It's 2 words, supernatural, not 1 word, but also basically all of Kripal's stuff I think is really great.
Or economic related topic.
If you're into this
at this meeting in the Oval Office,
but also don't want
they embedded a classified briefing into that meeting, and so the briefing that came about was on the topic of the U.S.'s or the U.S. government's contact with UAP. NHIs, aliens for all intents and purposes, and the consequences thereof. And it was a short, 4 pages, I think, briefing document. And I don't remember I don't know actually what the context that led to that briefing was, but it was embedded in the schedule. So, so the context is that Carter got a briefing document of which everybody in the Oval Office who's attending this briefing gets a copy to read during the oral briefing given by whoever the briefer was. And then when they're done, they are done with business with the president in the Oval Office and they have to leave. So as they're going out the door, they're giving their briefing book back to the agency staff who handed out the briefing books. So those copies are destroyed. And only 1 copy of that briefing book is kept in the president's records and the other copy is kept in the CIA's records. And so Alonzo McDonald was the guy. And he's deceased now, unfortunately. He was very old back in the 2010s.
But my understanding is you talked to him directly.
Say again?
My understanding is that you spoke with him directly.
I'm not going to lie, I completely zoned out. Has Eric Davis said anything of note? I don't want to go back.
Yeah, there were two of us,
Yeah,
and I
you did.
won't name who the other one was in our group, but he was affiliated with the OSAP. He's also affiliated with NIDS, and so he did the first original one-on-one discussions with Alonzo McDonald, and the subject of the Carter Project Aquarius briefing came up because that is such a big mythical story, and the whole MJ-12 swirl during the 1980s and 1990s.
It's all myth.
We wanted to get to the bottom of that. So this other gentleman in my group, and then later, much later on myself, we had independent meetings.
Well, how in the world did you find McDonald?
Well, I didn't have to find him. The other guy found him. And
okay.
They both...
We're going to speed this up, folks.
The other guy is so high profile, he can talk to anybody pretty much. Because I could just say that he was a former national intelligence officer, highly decorated. And so... and a three-letter agency. So basically, he knew how to find Alonzo McDonald.
Okay.
And
CIA.
my understanding is they both also were members of the same Christian denomination. And I don't know if that played a role. That might have, because some of the higher level people in that denomination will get together for national meetings or something.
Yeah.
And that's my
Southern
guess
Baptist.
of what was
Okay.
going
So
on.
and so what did in short what did McDonald tell you?
Yeah.
Basically,
About the briefing, about the contents of the briefing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the contents of the briefing were memorized by those shocked people in the staff who were there. And they couldn't believe their ears. So basically, it's like they're being told something that's counterintuitive to what the worldview that they all grew up in. And so they're hearing for the first time that the United States government had been in contact with aliens from another world or another place of origin, which was unknown still. If it's known, I haven't seen it. But anyway, so a number of the individuals in the White House or in the Oval Office, they started this out. I think this started out in the National Security Office or National Security Conference Room or something, and it moves to the Oval Office. So anyway, so it's in the Oval Office, and these really puzzled individuals, after the briefing, they decide to reconvene together at a hotel in the Washington, D.C. area. And they got their notepads out. They brought legal notepads, 8x14s, as I was told. And they started writing down their recollection of what they read in that briefing document. As I said, it's a short 4 pages. So, and it's not filled with text from top to bottom with tables and graphs and pictures. It's just 1.5 space typing. And so they read it, and so they read it, and then so they reconvene, as I was saying, in the hotel, and they're writing out their best recollection of what they read in those briefing documents. And then they did a round robin where everybody starts passing their notepad to the guy to their right or the guy to their left, and they all go around the full circle till every single notepad has been reviewed by every single person with every individual that reads through that notepad, making changes and corrections and whatnot. And so they did that a couple times until they converged on a version of that briefing document that they all agreed was the closest possible what they all collectively recalled. And that became the notorious Project Aquarius briefing document, which a gentleman codenamed Falcon from the Defense Intelligence Agency had passed on to UFO investigators Bill Moore and Jamie Chandra. And it was really Bill Moore who was in a motel. He had like 15 minutes or something to read through this. This was the actual facsimile. So that's what I call the converged, the memory convergence of the notepad.
Actual facsimile is a good one.
And final notepad that somebody said, okay, so let's take all the different notepads and we'll take all of the changes and converge it onto a single final notepad, do one more round robin until we all agree on that final facsimile of the briefing document. Okay, so this thing got
just so everybody understands, this is what McDonald told you and the other investigator.
And so more or less corroborated by retired Air Force Colonel Roy Jonkers, who I shared this with, and later on. So anyway, no, it wasn't Roy Jonkers. Sorry, he was already deceased. It was somebody else, and I can't think of the name.
Pull it together, Eric.
Somebody else who had government service in a 3-letter agency who I shared it with, who was familiar with it, who was familiar with the whole event. So basically, they have a final document. One of them typed it up on a thermal printer. That's the old. This is where they get away from the teletype computer terminals. Now they're going to an electric thermal print terminal where you have the paper on sprockets get fed up, and you got a head that goes back and forth, and it'll burn the letters into the paper. And so this is how it's printed up.
I'm not speaking ill of Eric Davis here, my understanding is he is pretty well liked and respected within this community, which is not, you know, I don't know how high that bar is, but I am always fascinated by like the it's like detail about detail, detail about detail about detail, vague, detail. I wouldn't call it gish galloping, but it is reminiscent of it. It's my understanding is it is a kind of, could be construed as kind of a tell that maybe you're sort of, it sounds like you're beating around the bush, and like if you're trying to either build hype for something or avoid actually talking about anything of substance, then you will sort of pad it, or what. That kind of sounds like what he's doing, right? Like, why is he going into the evolution of the, I mean, is this important? Maybe it's important.
And then so it's photographed.
I really feel bad that I'm coming off so skeptical of this, like that I'm coming off so naysaying. I'm having a hard time, because I think if you spend a lot of time in this world, you do get kind of impatient maybe with some of the like let's get to it, and not everything has to be a crazy green screen behind you. Not that they're doing that, but a lot of the UAP people do.
And then no, I don't think it was.
Point.
I think that actual
Chuela.
typewritten document was then transmitted to
me
Bill
to see,
Moore
so
and was
that
telling him
freak-
given like 15 minutes to read the thing, while the
And thank you again for the subs.
delivery guy had left him alone. So
Sure,
Bill Moore.
but let's go back to Alonzo McDonald and what he told you about the briefing and the document. I mean, what was communicated in the briefing?
Yes.
To the
Say again,
staff?
repeat the question again.
What was communicated?
Was it
in the briefing?
What was the information in the briefing? Not what technology was it printed on that made President Carter cry. Tell us, Eric.
According to McDonald, to the shocked staff. I mean, the White House.
Oh my gosh, I
cabinet
haven't read
consensus
this in
staff.
so. Yeah, I didn't memorize it.
Okay.
Okay.
As I've already summarized it for you, it's
Okay.
the existence of alien craft, UFOs. They have visited the Earth, and they have had contact with the government, and the consequences of that in 4 succinct pages. So it's like an intelligence estimate type document. So, gosh, I haven't read that for so long, I didn't even memorize it.
Okay, well that's fine. What did
But that's
McDonald
the gist
say?
of it.
What did McDonald say was the reaction of Carter to this?
Well, Carter's reaction was after the briefing was over and everybody had left. I understood that he put his head down like this, which is how he prays at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. So he always, when he prays, he puts his head down like this, and he puts his hands on top of his head, and he prayed. That was his reaction to the briefing, is he prayed about it. What did he pray about? McDonald didn't say. I didn't get from the other gentlemen I work with or collaborate with if he had asked McDonald what he was praying about. But he prayed, and that's how he prayed. That's how Carter was known to pray at his desk. So he just prayed about it. But I think that might have been private. I don't know that anybody had asked the president that, and that he responded. I think that was just left alone. So anyway, back to Bill Moore. So Bill Moore basically.
Well, I want to skip, if you don't mind, because we don't have a lot of time. I want to skip Bill Moore. That's for the benefit of the listeners, people
Thank
listening.
you.
This is a UFO researcher who was leaked this facsimile document.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was a matter of controversy for years. Because,
Oh yeah, photographed. It was he photographed it. He photographed it with the quarter on the left lower corner to show you the scale of the document by comparing it to the size of the quarter.
Sure, but let's.
And that was it. That's where we have to leave it, because all Bill Moore did was present at the MUFON symposia and MUFON meetings about.
MUFON is a organization that seeks to scientifically study UFOs. I think they will investigate reports of UAP sightings. And I was reading this article or this paper back in the day years ago, an academic paper about kind of how MUFON functions as both trying to be very legitimately scientific and materialistic, but then all of their advertisements and kind of quite literally between the lines, it all points to sort of more of the spiritual consciousness, that kind of thing, which is, I think, very interesting, because there is the idea, specifically in Lacanian psychoanalysis, that the unconscious kind of tags on to things. Like, it's on the surface, it comes out in your speech, all the time. And so I think that that's kind of it reminds me of that, how it's like we're very official, but then also if you flip to the back cover, you're going to see like an advertisement for the newest, woo-woo thing, I guess.
About that document.
Okay. Well, thoughts, anybody? How we doing? Are we having fun? Talking pursuing knowledge of UFOs. Not understanding what I know, it's very I mean Jung has an essay on UFOs that's really great. I mean just because it's like Jung talking about UFOs, and he in it I think takes a similar approach, which is like this could be something, but he kind of looks to the shape of them a lot, which was something that I did notice. Like they tend to be cigar shaped, aka something else shaped that I'm not sure I can say, or circular for Jung, that is a mandala. It could also be a boob, and then he kind of saw it as like a act of synchronicity. So it's an interesting read because he had been talking to people. It's interesting because so little has changed, I think, about the current circumstance and like how it was in the 50s, which would make sense if you follow the idea of it being a Cold War kind of deal. So speaking of Cold War stuff, let's take a look at Tom DeLonge's reaction. So I saw this, I have not watched it, but I saw it pop up in my feed, and then I went to go check out Tom DeLonge's Instagram feed, and then found that he'd like deleted his entire Instagram basically. But you know the internet, and so we have his reaction. This is ripped from Instagram, so the view is pretty bad, but I think we'll get the idea. So Tom DeLonge, member of Blink 182, also the band I prefer that he's in, Angels and Airwaves. Really like a lot of their albums, like a lot of their music. Big fan. Sorry about how the chat's cutting off. And love him. Love the guy. He's often referred to as a useful idiot. For whatever that's worth. Better useful than useless. You know what I'm saying? Because he is in. And he has played a pretty substantial role, I think, in at least this topic becoming more and more popular. And in like things like Arrow, I believe, and then like To the Stars Academy, he co-wrote, which I basically think he put his name on, like these fiction books that kind of outline, I think, what he perceives as the truth. And he, I think, really, really believes that, like, yeah, it's a very depressing, whatever it is behind all of these things is similar to the Carter thing, would make you cry, and it's really terrible. Whatever that means, I don't know. They always talk in really cryptic language. But yeah, he's in it for sure. So anyway, I'm never gonna not love him.
You know, we just had a big drop of a bunch of government documents on unidentified aerial phenomena today. Just wanted to put out my own kind of perspective on this. I think that this is a tremendous thing that's happening, I think, for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, the government is now formally doing stuff. They're formally investigating it, formally reviewing it, formally putting it out. Especially that one of the videos looks like a North Star.
How can they... I just don't get how, like, the government can't figure out how to identify a balloon, but they're also investigating it. And the star thing, I have not been convinced by at all. I don't know if we're going to get into that one, but you've probably seen it. It looks like a, 8-point star or something. It just looks like a flare to me. And it looks like a camera artifact. But man, I hope it's not.
I think that's one of the most shocking things I've seen in a long time. We've never seen a UAP actually look like that. But I'm just really excited. I'm really proud. And I think that the net that they are casting right now, they're really getting things done, and the government's taking this seriously. And
no, they're not.
I'm still very connected to the subject and to a lot of people working on this, and I feel really good about it. I'm really optimistic that this is going to lead to more investigations, to more review. We're never going to get, like, you know, the perfect thing just presented to us on a plate, but this is the process that starts, that happens over years, where they keep digging and digging and digging, and they get to the truth of it all. And I don't know, I'm just really, really stoked. I'm really, really proud that the country's leading like this in this subject area, you know. Right on. All right, stay tuned.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And that was Tom DeLonge, everybody. Yeah, I like Angels and Airwaves a lot. I'm a sucker for like that Time Bomb album. Quite a lot. Look at him. Look at a little beautiful boy. Just millennial, just in our hearts, you know. Shout out to all the millennials. He's a prominent thinker of our era. He is, some would say prophet. Some would say prophet. Show some respect. Anyway, okay, so speaking of the Cold War connection, we're going to be really, we're going to be diving in now to maybe what could be considered a slightly more depressing part of this, but I think it's interesting. So the idea here, this is a movie called Mirage Men, I believe. And it is more or less about how the government used UFOs to manipulate people and actually may or may not have contributed to a guy ending his own life because he became so convinced that what he was seeing were UFOs, and then he was approaching like different military bases, and the military is funny, they don't like that, I guess. And I think they like trolled him and like messed with him a little bit. And so there's this one guy who still like pops up, and I think people still will kind of believe him, and that blows my mind. But anyway, this is a story about a guy who believes this stuff was real, saw stuff over a military airbase, and then was eventually so convinced. Well, not him.
Yes, you're right, this stuff is going on, let's keep an eye on it. And then elected officials and other people in the
spoiler
media
here.
saying, we don't know what you're talking about, this isn't very important. And nobody seemed to care what he was talking about except the Air Force.
So many people knew ultimately about Paul Benowitz and that sad, strange, horrible story that it got way out of the realm of just a cute flying saucer story.
Paul was convinced
this guy
that everything he was doing was UFO related. I actually sat down with Paul and told Paul, listen, Paul, I think you ought to stop doing this. I think you've gone as far as you can go, and this is a friend. This is Richard Doty, a friend. It wasn't Richard Doty, a special agent with OSI, talking to him. I said, this is a friend talking to you, Paul, because I became a friend with him. He was a very wonderful person, and I didn't want to see him harmed. And I said, Paul, stop it. Listen to your son, listen to your wife, end it. Get rid of the equipment, lock the stuff away, go on with your life, go back to your work at your...
Big news, guys, my wife is making me a smoothie.
your business, and stop this. Paul listened to me, and I thought maybe he was going to take my advice, but he didn't. He continued and continued and continued, and at that point, we ended the investigation. We ended every involvement with Paul Benowitz.
By 1988, things were so bad that his family decided to take him to a psychiatric facility and see if they could try and save his life.
Cautionary tale. Portmanteaus, great name. I almost called you Postmates. My wife is doing very well. Thank you for asking. Grace is having a lovely day. And I think she's going to go watch Survivor later. And we'll see if I join her, but I might just chill. and rest my weary bones, or I might go out and see if I can look at the stars and see if I can locate a UFO. Anyway, let's continue this. I think this is a cautionary tale about how these types of things are really fun at first, and they can eventually drive you nuts.
And he said that aliens would come at night through his wall and inject him with something that would make him get in his car and drive out into the desert. And he didn't remember what he was doing or why he went. The scary thing was there actually were injection marks on his arm.
This is a friend talking to you.
There were injection marks.
Years later, I sat down with Paul at dinner and told Paul exactly that everything we did
couldn't be drugs.
Was a sanctioned counterintelligence operation to convince him that what he was seeing was UFOs, and that what we didn't want him to know was that he tapped into something on the base, and we didn't want him to ever disclose that. Paul looked at me and said, "You don't have to lie to me, Rick. I know it's UFOs related."
Thank you, Stiltsy. I could listen to me talk about it all day, too.
He was caught right in the middle of it.
Because if we want to talk about it, I mean, I think there is a collective intuition regarding not trusting the government, you know, and I'm a big fan of that. Not a huge fan. I think regardless of who's in office, maybe don't trust the government all the time. I don't think they have a spotless track record. However, I think that intuition is very funny like that, because it can get filtered into ways that are a little nutty, where you start just outright dismissing everything, or you start believing whatever the exact opposite is. And I don't think that shows good critical thinking skills. But in this instance, it does seem like the government screwed with the guy, and it led to his death, or contributed to it in a very substantial way.
If it hadn't been for Paul Benowitz, I would have never known 70% of the stuff that was going on.
All right, we don't need to keep watching that. How we doing, guys? In conclusion, with the UFOs, you know, I'm gonna say that not sold on it. Think it's a distraction. I love when people are interested in it and get interested in it. I really wish there was more of a gray area when it comes to actually believing in this stuff versus not believing in this stuff. I think the value in it is it can get you out of your overly rational way of thinking about everything, and that's very helpful. And the bad thing is the exact same reason. It can lead you down a wormhole where you believe your intuition literally. You then, you know, isolate yourself. Then you start thinking that you have secret knowledge, and that there's actually a concerted effort to keep that information secret. And it's like, yeah, there probably is a concerted effort in many ways to keep a lot of this information secret. In fact, there's a concerted effort to keep some particular information really secret right now, like I believe 1% of the Epstein files has been released. So it's interesting to me, I think, when people have a certain level of cognitive dissonance, they don't want to think about the Epstein files because that bums them out. That might reveal to them that maybe they had hitched their horse to the wrong wagon a little bit, and so they displace it onto the UFO stuff because, hey, why not? It's also not really falsifiable. Which is fine. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think that you need to approach these things in as empirical a way as they tend to do. That is like my big thing. I think that this is something that is like a myth that is forming, and the reason this myth is forming is because we live in a highly rational, empirical, post-Enlightenment era world, and we want to only believe things if they can be proven to be true empirically, but things can be true metaphorically. They can be true on an emotional level, and that doesn't mean they have to immediately be reduced to literal stuff. So I think it does a disservice, really, to constantly try to establish ufology in some kind of scientific way, because I think that its function is different than that, and that leads us full circle to the idea of the religious or spiritual function of the psyche. Or whatever interpretation you want to have. But the idea is there is definitely a religious component, even in the material interpretations of what's going on. Like, you're still hoping for something else. And then there's the Cold War aspect where they're aliens and they're invading, and so the Department of War is going to release this trove of files, and then the president's going to say, have fun, you goobers. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it. And also, I don't think that the upper echelons of our government, or given the massive sizes of these agencies, would be able to keep things a secret. Then the flip side of that argument is that they actually haven't been kept secret and that there have been whistleblowers. You have like Grush, who sort of, I think, fell off the face of the map after he met with like a bunch of Silicon Valley people. So skeptical of that guy. But you can make a case like with Fravor, with the Tic Tac video. He seems super legit. And all of it does kind of come down to like, do you believe these people? And I think that the uniformity of experiences that people have had is the most fascinating aspect of it. I don't believe necessarily that they are like relaying a exact account of what happened. I think that there's hallucinations, but the fact that all these hallucinations do look the same and that they're all, you know, like one thing is UFOs are always silent, right? Like, I think that's interesting. Now, that could be because it's in your head, and it's not really making a noise, so you're just seeing a visual hallucination rather than an auditory one. Whatever. I don't know where exactly I was going with that, but for whatever that's worth. And I think that people should enjoy UFOs for what they are, which is a really fun idea, and not let them distract us from what's really going on. Yeah, exactly. I have received 100 messages today. Thank you, Mom. With all of your screen names. All right, so this I don't want to watch anymore. All right, what we're going to do now is we are going to... Man, if you were my mom, that'd be crazy. If you were my mom, that'd be crazy. All right, let's dive into something else here. So this is part of my new project called Making the Worst Algorithm I Can. So I've made a new Instagram account, and I found some AI slop. Now, I'm having a hard time, like, normally I'll look at one post on my regular profile and my whole, like, explore page will suddenly be whatever I just clicked on. This new account that's, you know, private and I haven't posted anything, it's a little harder. So let's dive in to this first one here. This is a complete pivot, so if you guys have any other thoughts on aliens in any sincere or insincere way, please let me know. And do you have anything to say? What about the gnome, sir? So cute. Check out the Supernatural. I like Pasolka's first book, Cosmic something or other. I didn't like her most recent one. All the Kripal stuff is fun. There's a book called The Trickster and the Paranormal. That's a really fun one too. By Hansen. George Hansen, I believe. I think is his name. You know how the brain. All right. Yeah, we do need to be compassionate to other people. And if I was not being compassionate, I sincerely apologize. I do love, I kind of want to shake people sometimes, I think, because it's like, you know, like, even if it's harmless, I'm like, yeah, but, like, when people say do your own research, I 100% agree people should do their own research. I just also think the first thing they should research is how to do research and, like, why research is done in a certain way. And really, it is, like, ironically similar to a lot of what they talk about, like the star seeds, when they're like, you want to maintain your, like, purity and your health and, like, all that stuff. And I think it's like that, but for your brain. Like, you want to safeguard and have some humility about the fact that crazy stuff can seep in. And it happens to me all the time. And I don't mind that. I like a little crazy, but all within good, within reason, I guess. Or only a little outside of reason. Because we're only here once. And then we come back and we live it over and over again. And that's why when you see the bright light when you're dying, that's actually a trap. That's the prison planet theory. Another great one. Another absolute banger. Oh, really? Sorry. Way low. Wow, I've been getting. I had it right the first time. My contacts are just a little blurry. I did a whole capstone project, my master's program on media literacy post-pandemic. Were they just blank pieces of paper? You should share that. Share that with me, and we will read it on the stream, which might be tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure what my schedule looks like, but I think I should be able to do same time, as long as this works for you guys, and every single one of you will be here. Being here. Once was next for you. After this last. Oh, thank you. Next goals. Thanks for asking. Here we go. Gonna get real close. See? My goal is to look at culture and politics through a depth psychological lens and also make it funny and entertaining for people in whatever capacity I can. And I like the idea of taking the spirit of SourceFed, where it's current events and also with comedic and silly slants, and doing that in a way that is live, because I think the live part of it is really important, especially as we continue to careen off of a cliff and people become increasingly skeptical, not only about whether they're looking at something that's real or AI, but also just incredibly skeptical about ideas of truth. And I also think that we are inundated right now with people who take themselves incredibly seriously. And I like the idea of using the academic, what modicum of academic knowledge I have to maybe go against that. I don't trust a lot of these like online folks, but I have been thinking about maybe starting to sell supplements. You know, something Foucault. Yeah. We're going to get into Foucault later. Then Derrida. Then Lacan. No, I'm a Deleuze and Guattari guy more so. That's my understanding, anyway. I think other people have told me that. I like Deleuze and Guattari and Schelling. So, how's that? Does that sound smart? It's names. They're names. That's all they are. All right, y'all. So here is how do I do it? Let me make sure this I'm not showing anything. Okay. Yeah. All right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to sell a product and it's going to be like, and then if you want to be a part of the, you can sign up and then you can sell the product and I get a little kick of that. It's going to be pretty great. All right. So this is emblematic of a lot of posts I've been seeing, which is basically really crappy AI generated. And I get a real kick out of these like quasi deep posts. And this might be a little more lighthearted. And it always amazes me because these posts will have like 20, sometimes 20,000 likes. Sometimes it'll be an account with no likes, and yet they post every single day. I don't know if it's a bot. I don't know. I don't question it. I don't question things. Rule number 1. So fascinating. But I did haven't. Oh yeah, let's read about this paper. It was so fascinating, but I did have to narrow to a specific age demographic, and I chose boomers to make it more interesting for myself. The end product was a little depressing. My master's is in education, by the way. Yes, I believe that media literacy among some of our beloved older generations is certainly not great, and I think my understanding of that, and before we get to 5 ways to get revenge, is like, as a millennial, and I'm speaking anecdotally here, I feel like we're one of the last generations that experienced not having the internet and then having the internet, and I think there was a transition where we kind of grew up with it, and I think it was sort of like something that the young kids were doing back when we were younger. And then all of a sudden with Facebook and like with bots and bad actors and all that stuff, it just seems like they weren't quite ready for the amount of misinformation that is out there. And I think sometimes there's a sense, at least in when I see loved ones or whatever share things that are clearly misinformation, I don't think that they are as like concerned about being lied to as maybe they should be, if that makes any sense. Like, I wish they would be like, there's a sense of protection of wanting to be like, please, you know, they're trying to get you here, and your clicks and all that's like you're feeding the algorithm. There's a book called Techno-Feudalism. There's also an idea called Techno-Feudalism, but it's written by Yanis Varoufakis. He's a Greek economist and politician, and his general idea is that capitalism is already dead and it's been replaced by techno-feudalism, which is like a return to feudalism, except rather than literal lords and serfs, it's like we're the serfs, but then there's techno lords who we pay rent to. So like I would pay rent to Twitch or YouTube, and if you want to sell on Amazon, like the marketplace of yore is now the commons back in the day have been enclosed in our digital spaces. And so we're training algorithms, and then the algorithms are training us. And I don't know how you survive in that unless you grew up somehow with it. Unless you just give up on it and you're like, I'm just going to believe whatever I believe. The current generation never had to download a song and taking a risk. Well, yeah, exactly. You wouldn't steal a car, would you? Jacob Geller, essay on 1984. Okay, I will write that down. This is why I have a pen. So I can go real silent. Okay. I just want to know how to get revenge. So here we go. Number 1, outshine them quietly. You don't need to say a word. This hits like a cringe nerve in me. You don't need to say a word. Just live so that they have to hear about it from someone else. The new job, the trip, the glow up. Make sure they see the photos. Make sure they know you didn't just survive without them. You thrived. Not just this, that. Yeah, definitely. This is a great point, guys. Live your life in a way that you are supremely motivated by a fantasy in which you get a comeuppance. Don't think about what your soul wants. Don't think about what you're actually interested in. Don't do things for your own self-improvement. Do it so that you can feel like you got them, okay? And that's number 1, most important life lesson, I think. Do things so that you can think about other people thinking about you. I'm being sarcastic. Spite. It's not spite. You're rising. You're not sinking down to spite. You're rising to the spiritual. Because you're not this, you're that. Steal back your secrets. Hey, what does that mean? They thought they knew you inside. This plays, I think what I'm going for is for this algorithm is I'm 14 and this is deep. And it's my they thought they knew you inside out. Change. Grow. Become someone they wouldn't recognize if they tried. Well, then what would be the point? Make them irrelevant to the person you're becoming. Make them irrelevant. Okay. Let them keep the old you like an outdated password. They can try it all they want. Nice. And if you can't tell, the guy's facing away from us, because he's just not even. This is from Motivation Hustling, which I have followed on this account. It was the first account I followed in an effort to turn my algorithm into hot trash. 3, leave them out of the story. Sir, turn around. Leave them out of the story. When people ask, don't even mention them. Don't turn them into a villain. Don't give them the dignity of being your tragedy. Say, it didn't work out and move on. Let them be nothing more than a footnote. You stop bothering to read. All right, fine. That one's not like the worst. I mean, that's more just like somewhat, I guess, I don't know. But then you're still having to think about it. Like, if you're having to like consciously be like, don't say that they're the villain, then maybe you aren't there yet. 4, forgive them even when they don't deserve it. Not for them, but for you. Because anger is heavy, and you're tired of dragging it around like a dead limb. You don't forget, but you let go of the fantasy of making them pay. You set yourself free while they're still in their own mess. Well, you're presuming they're in a mess, but besides that, I think that's pretty good. Forget them entirely. The best revenge is no revenge. No thoughts. Empty your head of all thoughts. No stalking their socials at 1 a.m. No rewrites of the last fight in your head, just quiet, just absence, just living so fully they don't even cross your mind anymore. All right, fair enough. Some of these weren't as bad. I've seen some like real bad ones, but is this inspiring you guys? All right. We're up to 10,000 concurrent viewers. That's a pretty big deal. Because one day you'll realize you went an entire week and then a month without thinking about them at all. And that silence, that's the sweetest victory you'll ever taste. All right. Garbage. 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 Garbage, garbage, garbage. Let's try another one. We're going to do there's more. All right, this one actually I thought was pretty decent. All right. You can do it. Browser. Which one was I just on? I'm still figuring out how this works. All right. So this is never give a woman a second chance if she did any of these 5 things. Write this down, folks. What is he? What is he? It looks like he's protecting her from like a bus. He's Truman showing her. 1, she humiliated you on purpose, mocking you in public, exposing your secrets, belittling you in front of others, using your pain as entertainment. A woman who enjoys making you feel small does not love you in a safe way. That is true. And I will say I find it incredibly terrible and really a character flaw. Oh, you think this might have some stereotypes in it? Yeah, maybe a few. But this is a good one. I think it's pretty surprising that there are people, especially folks who are like couples, who still kind of enjoy this idea of like, there's my idiot, you know? This moron. She's costing me all the money. Here he goes again. But yeah, I mean, it's also just anyone. You don't need to. If like your buddy does that too in a way that's like harsh and mean and clearly not a joke, then you have to break up with him. She cheated. Yeah. And showed no real remorse. Not just cheating, the lying, the hiding, the disrespect. And if she got caught, made excuses, blamed you, or acted like it wasn't that serious, that tells you everything. Sir, your phone. You guys hanging out at the lounge cafe? All right. His phone's. He's like, I don't understand this phone. You know. He showed it to. Yeah. What does it say? Ready? Can't. When can we see each other again? Oh, I see. Yeah, he's looking at her phone. Sorry, these are really complex. She kept crossing your boundaries after you made them clear. All right. Are you guys bored with this? You said no. You explained what hurts you. You asked for respect, and she kept doing it anyway. This is not misunderstanding. Disregard. It's not this. It's that. Are we going to move toward, like, is this going to affect our language where we no longer say it's not this, but this? Like, is there going to be a backlash to the like, AI rhetoric that is just, like, built? Because I find myself oftentimes now talking like that, where I'm like, oh, I sound like AI, which is great. Who doesn't want that? It's cool to make everything as homogenous as possible. 4, she made you question your own reality. Well, I'm doing that right now. She lied, denied, twisted, gaslit. Got it. All right. She made you feel afraid to be honest. If you had to walk on eggshells, hide your thoughts, fear her reactions, or manage your moods just to keep peace, you were not in love, you were in survival mode. In fact, you can read the book Walking on Eggshells, which is quite literally about being in or knowing or being connected to someone who may or may not have borderline personality disorder. Oh, look at this beautiful real couple. You got to watch out though, a lot of this stuff's AI. You can tell, I think, the order in which I prep these things. All right, so Oh, yeah. This is good. I'm going to immediately follow this one. All right. We got, let's see. Yes. These are going to show me the harsh truth about life. Look at that. Look at it. He's got tattoos of money, and he's wearing a... Does anybody want to try like some art interpretation here? Why is his head like that? Collecting pure souls. Collecting pure souls. Hey there. Drop your favorite sad and relatable poems in the comments or DM me your thoughts, and I might feature them in my next video. Let's create a community where our words connect through shared experiences. So close. We don't just have a media literacy problem, folks. We just have also a literacy problem. Is this saying he likes a bag of money? Yeah, I guess so. It's like an old kind of like how you imagine like a cartoonish bag of money. That's just the harsh truth, man. This is pretty good stuff. All right, we're gonna blow through these, and then we're gonna get to some news. Not really news. There's an article I think is interesting. Now this one's really complex. The woman is screaming at and spitting flesh droplets onto the infant, and then there's deep meaning, and then the woman grows to... All right. The engagement on this stuff is through the roof. It is fascinating. The lines of life. To criticize, to gossip, to get involved, to encourage, to help. Ain't that the truth? Protect yourself from your own thoughts. Whoa, that cane has a hammer on it and then nails. Or is it a cane or is it... That one actually is really incredible. Control your 7M. Mind, mouth, 7M. Control your 7M. Your 7M. Control your 7M. Mind, mouth, moves, morning meal, money, and mood. Mind, okay. Mind, mouth, moves, morning, meal, money, and mood. 7M. This is why children are happier. No, it's not. That's not why children are happier. They're not. It's not because they're not dreaming about materialist things. They're absolutely thinking about like a stuffed toy or whatever. A lot of the time. They're also, what makes you think they're actually happier? Don't we like come out of the womb crying? All right. We only live once. Wrong. We only die once. We live every day. Whoa. This is losing me, guys. This is losing me. I thought this was going to be more fun than it is currently, but it's okay. It's all right. Reality is created by the mind. Well, sure. We can change our reality by changing... We can change our reality by changing your mind. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was not Plato. It's only a short trip. Enjoy it. See, they always... The mirror thing with the seeing yourself, like, what is the... All right. Difficult doesn't mean impossible. It simply means you have to work. You have to work hard. The Plato guy was doing this. Yeah. Adjustment is not important in life. Understanding is important in life. I would say adjustment is pretty important and understanding is pretty important. If you fail, congratulations. Most people don't even try. BMW. Is this supposed to look like that was etched into the snow with perfect sans serif font? See? I wish I could fly. I wish I could swim. Embrace your own beautiful purpose in this life. Are you guys feeling physical pain right now? I'm feeling some physical pain. So, we're going to get out of this. Unless there's one more that is... No, that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was tough, right? I'm sorry I put you through that. I thought it was going to be more joyful and really inspiring. it's probably, you probably didn't enjoy it because you're having to realize that like it changed the way you think about life. The engagement will make you quite sad. I will go look at the comments sometimes. Let's read the comments here. Okay, it's not gonna let me. Oh, here we go. Yeah, scroll past because you know they're gonna pin something. It's only a short trip. Enjoy it. That's some real-ish. Thanks for the lovely insights. Now, sometimes I will click on these profiles, and I don't think that's my best moment. And as someone said earlier, it's important that we show compassion to people. Speaking of showing compassion to people, we are now going to move into an article on kidults. This is about, this is from Jacobin, and it is, I'm going to read some of it, and we're going to discuss it. It's about Disney adults, basically. All right. Disney is encouraging and exploiting the rise of kidults. I have not heard that one before, and I like it a lot. For most of the last half century, the charge has been that American culture is stuck in adolescence. But adolescence, it turns out, was not the floor. Disney is leading the transformation, expanding into new age markets for maximum profit. Earlier this month, the New Yorker published a mesmerizing, if bleak, article about the Disney adult, that distinct American subspecies of grown man or woman who is stuck in Peter Pan consumer mode, who trembles in delight at the trailer for the silly new Baby Yoda movie and can't wait to splurge $80 on a light-up Star Wars popcorn bucket. Okay, first of all, Peter Pan syndrome is originally puer eternus, if we're being technical. It's the eternal child, all right? And so we're going to go with the Greek. What's worse, this story reveals many Disney adults are going broke on their frequent pilgrimages to the Holy Land. For the blissfully unaware, Disney experiences are staggeringly expensive. They are. All of them. Not just Disney, also Universal and Epic. Well, that is Universal, but they're all incredibly expensive. Surveys show nearly half of parents borrow money to fund Disney vacations. One couple, hey, that's great. We just had the guy from the head of the economics or whatever bragging about how credit card spending is through the roof, and I think that's what you want, right? You want the consumer that generates the movement of the economy to just charge everything and then end up in crushing debt and then not be able to buy anything. What's worse, the story reveals many Disney adults are going broke on their frequent pilgrimages to the Holy Land. I didn't know, I missed the part where they're actually going broke. One couple who made headlines reportedly borrowed around $70,000, partly for Disney trips. Another fan went $17,000 in debt due to 10 Disney vacations in 5 years. They don't got that many rides. The internet responded to the New Yorker story with a predictable mix of horror and mockery. Who are these giant babies going broke to stand in line for a $15 bucket of galactic fries? There's so mean. There's no especially dignified answer. Going into 5-figure debt for a week of manufactured joy. It's not manufactured necessarily. Manufactured joy at the theme park is on its face a bad decision. It can be difficult to muster sympathy for the plight of the Disney adult. Clearly it is for this writer. After all, adults are responsible for their finances. No wicked stepmother is casting a spell on you to make you do this. Well, okay, but I mean, they are gouging them as well. Yet Disney is not some... There it is. Yeah, here's the good point. Disney is not some passive beneficiary of the whimsies of childhood nostalgia. It is building the machinery to identify it, cultivate it, finance it, and keep it coming back. How? By catering more explicitly to the wealthy and convincing the rest of us to cough up more hard-earned cash. Through class envy. For most of the 20th century, amusement parks and Disney's properties in particular operated on a rough, egalitarian premise. You buy a ticket, you stand in line, you ride the ride. The line was the great democratizer. A wealthy family and a working class family paid the same and waited the same 45 minutes to ride Space Mountain. So this is true. Disney is essentially trying to price out working class people. They've been trying to do this for a very long time. They do not care about how expensive they make everything because they know people will continue to buy it. And it does kind of bum me out because I love Disney and I love theme parks for that matter. And I love them. Love roller coasters, love rides, love the whole experience. But I am old enough to remember a time when there was at least a general sense that once you're in the park, you're kind of on even playing field, and those days are way gone. But now Disney has built a resort experience where the baseline good visit requires purchasing access to the good version of the park on top of the already expensive base admission. So I just went with some friends and my wife to, hey, what's up, Casey? I think I'm seeing that right. I think the chat's a little behind. Maybe you should. Oh, am I seeing something from? No, okay, that's great. We're figuring it out, folks. I'm easily distracted right now because after I do this for a while, I forget how all the tech works. I forget where I'm looking, and I also forget what I'm talking about. But we went to Universal. The tickets, because it was a new park, we were like, okay, we should probably just do the fast passes. The fast passes were more expensive than the tickets, the express passes at Universal. Worth it in the sense that like we would have not been able to enjoy the park had we not had that. And so you pay $100-something to get in there, and then you gotta like pay over twice as much as that to be able to skip a line. And then there is, on one hand, this sense of like, I'm like skipping ahead because you're in the express lane, but there is like, you do feel like a jerk after a while because you just see families and they're miserable. And some of them are season pass holders and they come all the time and they don't mind waiting in line and just riding a few rides. But we were traveling to do it. And anyway, it's I for some reason this is something I'm almost as passionate about as UFOs. Disney's built a resort experience with blah blah blah. Yeah. Premier Pass that costs between $129 and $449 per person per day. $450. Just went to Disneyland with my boyfriend and his family. We got there before rope drop and went on a weekday. We maybe waited in line for max 45. Yeah, that's if you hit it, like if you hit that right vein at the right time, oh, you're golden. And getting there early. Like I turn into a very, very obsessive compulsive Disney adult, an OCDA when I go to theme parks because as my wife likes to inform me, it's like one of the few areas where I become like so organized. Like this isn't real. These books aren't organized. I don't know if you can tell. They're not even alphabetical order. Like I'm not a very organized person. But when it comes to theme parks, I treat it like a physics problem. Disney has built a resort experience where the baseline good visit requires purchasing access to the good version of the park. Yeah. Oh, I'm just rereading the same thing. Enthusiast guides describe it as essentially the line skipping option for the 1%. It means that the rich experience and the poor experience at Disney parks are now visibly distinct. They have been for a while. The pressure to spend more comes in part from watching your kid's face fall when you explain that no, we're not doing the Premier Pass. We're waiting in the regular line with the regular people. Sorry, children, let me explain something called the class divide. So this is what it is. And they also, these lines, they'll put like one good ride in and then the wait is 3 hours. As someone who grew up poor in Canada, humble brag, hell yeah, we could never afford Disney, and now that I have my own son, I plan to take him because it was something I was never able to do and don't want him to miss out and probably go slightly into debt to do so. But I'm also going to go to Universal and get my cloak and wand. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it is something like you do once when you can do it and you just accept the fact like that it's going to hurt. If you have the means to do that. And if it's something that is a priority for you in your like travel. If you're someone who is not into theme parks, good for you. I'm glad he stopped like just completely demolishing Disney adults though. I watch so much content of Disney vloggers. It is quite absurd. Ordinary Adventures, love them. Views and Cues, love them. That's more cruise content. Same thing. It's like cruises, theme parks. It's just pure consumer culture. And I am not a Luddite. Is that the right word? Even when attendance itself is not booming, Disney is winning because per capita guest spending is climbing through VIP tours, premium dining, and the results various line skipping passes. Yeah, like if you stay at one of the hotels, you can get in earlier, blah, blah, blah. Disney's ambitions don't stop at the park gates. the company's new CEO. I know cruise vlogs are the best. We were watching one last night with of Views and Q's, and they were seasick. And I thought it was not wishing ill, but it was very funny. Because they were so low energy, and usually when you watch those kinds of pieces of content, everyone is so happy. It was a nice juxtaposition. It's the contrast, not what was actually going down. Well, I'm sorry you were laid off. I hope you aren't for very long, and I'm sure you won't be. Have you thought about printing out your resume on nice, thick paper stock and walking into the office and shaking hands with whoever is in charge with a firm handshake? I've heard that will do it. Have you tried not enjoying lattes? Yankee in the South is doing a cruise vlog right now. Is Yankee in the South? I think I did not. I kept not watching them. Yankee in this. I think I know what you're talking about, Jesse. Yeah, don't forget the firm handshake. They will kick you out. The goal is a frictionless enclosure in which streaming content, theme park reservations, merchandise purchasing, and video gaming all flow through a single Disney-controlled pipe, each element reinforcing the others with none of them leading anywhere outside the ecosystem. That's very true. You watch the movie, you book the park that recreates it, you buy the movie's toy at the park, and then you stream it again on the way home. Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse may be dead, but the metaverse as an idea, one company, one ecosystem, no exits, is thriving. Unlike Meta's original vision, Disney's metaverse has no distinct boundaries between physical and virtual worlds. Where are we going with this? Oh, this gets, okay, the holistic wellness. Consider Disney adults don't have to leave the house to fully commune with their corporates, get a community in the storyline eventually, develop match plans, yeah, dude, this Cotino thing, I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. So I'm a big fan of Palm Springs, always have been, always will be. All right, and I want to go see this place because, again, watching a vlog on all these houses that they have, they have like baseline. It's the same thing with like the class divide. They have a baseline version of a house, and then they have what the models look like, which are incredibly beautiful, and then it gets more and more and more expensive. And I think they're like trying to do kind of like what Celebration was in Florida, where it's sort of like a commons, except you have to pay to get in, which is counter to what the idea of the commons is. That doesn't really work, but it's the way of making it be like, look at this beautiful idyllic place we're in, and it's because you are keeping the riffraff out. But the Cotino houses are quite beautiful, to be quite honest with you, and it has a really cool big pool. So, what are you gonna do? There, you can take holistic wellness classes at $20,000 a year. Yeah, Clubhouse's model and Par family home from The Incredibles 2. Yep, I've seen that. This is a retirement community for affluent boomers with the same desire to literalize, that's a theme that's been popping up, literalize escapism and live inside an engineered fantasy as the millennials who go tens of thousands into debt for quarterly park visits. The Disney company is happy to exploit it. All right, the kidult. So what caught my eye about this is the idea that toys, the purchasing of toys by adults has now surpassed the purchasing of toys by preschoolers, if I'm remembering correctly. You'd be mistaken to think this cradle-to-grave perma-childhood is merely a Disney phenomenon. I would be, and I don't think that. For most of the century, the diagnosis was that American pop culture was stuck in adolescence. Yes, it is. Comic book movies ate Hollywood. The Twilight and Hunger Games franchises colonized adult fiction. Star Wars, a fairy tale about a chosen boy with a magic sword. Okay. Like, the phasers getting fired here became a primary reference point for cultural conversation, rivaled only by Harry Potter, a fairy tale about a chosen boy with a magic wand. This guy just does not like entertainment, and I get it. But adolescence, it turns out, was not the floor. Of the past few years, something has shifted further down the developmental ladder from the angsty teenager to the content small child. Cozy games, low stakes, pastel-colored, fundamentally about tending a little virtual garden, have exploded into a major gaming industry. Labubu dolls, those pricey, monster-faced plush figures, became last year's inexplicable status symbol. Last year, theaters were full of grown men and women singing along with K-pop Demon Hunters songs. Yeah, it was a great movie and incredibly catchy. We need our treats. We need our treats. Okay? It's the dog drinking coffee with the world burning around it. K-pop demon hunters, our coffee. Star Wars is our coffee that we can sip on while saying this is fine. Citation Green, 2013. That is true, by the way. It was 2013. And I believe the name is Green. It's so prevalent in the 2020s that marketers have created a brand new consumer identity around it. The kidult. For the first time in American history, sales to adults buying toys for themselves have overtaken sales of toys for preschoolers. We did it. Kidults now account for 28.5% of all toy sales in the United States, and the market's eye of Sauron has fully swiveled toward them, actively encouraging and exploiting the phenomenon. As it turns out, Disney adults are just the tip of the iceberg. In some Baudrillard, yeah, in simulacra, I never get it right, and simulation, French theorist Jean Baudrillard once wrote, Jean Baudrillard, John? This is what happens when you go to a school where you're mostly reading and not hearing it out loud, once wrote that Disneyland is presented as imaginary in order to make us believe that the rest is real. But the pretense that Disney is fiction has been discarded because the veil between what's real and imaginary is fast fading from view. Amen. You can now have a full Disney life, complete with the cruise, the collectibles, the master planned community, and an algorithmic everything app to track it all. Meanwhile, America has become more Disney-like, sentimental, stage-managed, branded, surveilled, and of course expensive. Adulthood in America has been progressively stripped of its familiar compensations like stable work, affordable housing, and the kind of thick community that doesn't require a monthly subscription, aka, yeah, the whole commons thing we were talking about. Into that vacuum arrives the manufactured enchantment of IP, which is at least reliably available and accepts most major credit cards. It's our treats. In the end, Disney didn't hollow out adulthood, it just noticed it was gone and is building a better mousetrap. Sorry, Mickey, to make more money. And the thing about kingdoms, even magic ones, is that if you're not a king, you're more than likely a serf, returning us once again to the idea of techno-feudalism. I know, it is like, oh, people want, yeah, it's like, there's a little bit of like hating the player and not hating the game, I think, going on here. I'm not a big proponent of being like, I don't take part in the system because I do. And if that makes me a hypocrite, fine. My boyfriend values, quote, experiences over material gifts. He treats me and treats himself to experiences. Yes, that growing up, my folks were very adamant about that. They were way more into taking us somewhere, giving us an experience rather than buying us things. And to this day, that I'm not like a tried and true believer in the idea of love languages, but if I had one, mine is certainly like quality time. Like which leads to some disagreements when it comes time to watch a movie, because I view my wife and I watching a movie together, quality time, and she does not. She's wrong. Speaking of how wrong my wife is, I think she may have left I think there might be a smoothie outside my door that I forgot to grab. So I'm going to put on a talk by James Hillman for a moment. I like it. We're not going to watch all of it, but we are going to enjoy it a little bit. I like this guy. He's my favorite psychologist. This is Pioneers back in 2014, a conference. And let's see if I can just non-ranting. Sorry, yes, non-ranting, renting. Oh, to that point, the market decides to focus on one group of consumers, then another, just to make headlines and feed what the masses thinks is happening when it all happens. Either the gifts from producers, subscriptions, or services, or charging for experiences. It's all around, but stories focus on each one rotating just to sell. Yeah, you can say that again too, because I am interested in what you're saying, and I think I agree with what you're saying if I'm understanding it. But now I'm thinking about this smoothie. So, give me 1 second. Wait.
Hello, this is great.
Oh, did you guys think this wasn't going to have some, like, old guy? That I wasn't going to bring in some old guy to keep you entertained as a treat while I check to see if the ants have gotten into my smoothie? Well, think again.
To be here, great. And I came here to work with a problem. It is a problem that liberals and intellectuals, and I'm among them, that's what we have, and it is impeding the adventure of our country. This problem, as I see it, lies in the nature of our thinking. It is a psychological problem, a thinking disorder. It begins in knowing what's wrong.
I think she forgot to make the smoothie. Thank you to Majkel8321 for gifting 5 subs. Guess what? I still don't entirely know what that means, but I am figuring it out. I think it means you're gifting subs to other people, so thank you. It would mean that because that's what the words are. But I really appreciate it. Yeah, going back to experience over things is definitely true, but at a certain point, it's unattainable. I refuse to go to concerts nowadays because of how unreasonably expensive they are. Why pay $400 for one night experience when I could get a video game console that will last me years? I agree with that, and also, like, having done... Grace and I have been doing shows for probably, I guess, her show, let me get this off my chest, for the better part of the past year. And going all over the country has been really fun and exciting. However, a lot of folks, like, there are so many fees that get stacked up that are not in her control. And they just, it makes the cost skyrocket. And it stops people from coming. There's a band I like called Father of Peace. And by like, I mean I've heard 2 of their songs, and I am listening to those songs over and over again. One's called Enemy, and the other one is No Complaints, I think. But they're really fun. Just follow them on Instagram. That's where I found them. Very, very cool. Little trio. They're gonna play in LA, and I was like, oh, they're a smaller band, I think. And like, I looked at the tickets, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's an insane amount of money, and I do think it goes into what are called monopolies. And when you have like Live Nation and Ticketmaster and they control all that stuff, it makes it impossible. So yeah, saying experiences, I think, is a misnomer because they do still cost money. And you can still, like, you're still spending. I think experiences can be more like, that can be how you choose to spend your money, but you're still getting something in return that is temporarily not as sustainable as like a physical object. That said, they did just increase the Twitch 2 by $50, and for me building a Twitch empire, that's really difficult. I'm gonna have to wait till everyone gives 100 subs, and then I will get my Switch 2. Sorry, clarify. When you think about people buying gifts, products, spending money on experiences, or people enjoying subscriptions, there hasn't always been markets of these consumers. But as we continue to grow, things get larger, and the news need something to sell stories. Each month or quarter, they focus on one consumer market. That's interesting. Are you saying that that's a conscious thing, or that's just sort of baked into the system? My inclination is to think that's kind of baked into the system, not that there's like people deciding for that to happen. But I wouldn't put it past that being the reality. I also think that that's what's happening with a lot of the AI platforms. It's like, well, you don't want ChatGPT, you want Claude, and you don't want Claude, you want the Perplexify or whatever it's called, and then they kind of shift around users in order to keep the industry afloat, is what I've heard. That's an idea. I have no real opinion on that, but it would make sense. Like, if you have a limited number of consumers, to shift those consumers. I don't know if that relates to what you're talking about, nor do I know if it's true, but I think it's an interesting idea. I'd also agree, unless it's an artist I've not seen before, I won't spend when I've seen someone before and have those memories, and I can watch it later when people post. Agreed. Yeah, the fees are rough, and the fees are, again, it's like Disney pricing everybody out. We should have there should be a world in which people can go out into areas with other people in their community and have entertainment, period. And I think especially now as we become more and more isolated, that would be great, but they're not going to do that. And they're not being reined in. I think Ticketmaster should be busted up real quick. I used to go to Warped Tour when it was roughly $50. I think I paid $70 the last one in 2018. It was the most affordable. Yeah, I know. It is nuts. This concert I was looking at was like, for 2 tickets, like $250 after all of the fees. And you have artists right now that are canceling tours, partly at least due to the gouging of things, and also artists who, especially musicians, who my understanding is make most of their money on touring. You're screwing them over too, because if people don't go to those shows, it's not like they're making money on Spotify streams. Well, maybe with me they are. I will replay the crap out of one song. That was a radical idea, I know. Yeah. There's a new guy on Twitch is talking about like community and look. Okay, yeah, we're up to 5,000 concurrent viewers. This is gonna get me canceled. This is how I become the next Hassan, and not just in terms of good looks, but like they're gonna be talking about me on CNN and Fox News, and they're gonna be like, this guy's talking about how everyone should be able to go out in public, rub elbows with their neighbors, eat a corn dog, and like Uber. Like, you can't get, where you gonna Uber? Have you checked out? It's a woke mind virus. Agreed. Shows back then were within the market of cost of living, where now it's how can we get the most money out of the least or most amount of shows until they have to cancel. Different story that is happening recently. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how far back this is on a delay, but it is happening. Don't hurt Brock. I would never. He was so sad yesterday. We went to, he's high anxiety to say the least, and he will throw up in a car in a moment's notice. So we have these pills that we give him for anti-nausea, and it knocked him out, but it was so sweet because he got so tired. But he's feeling better today. And I gave him his Prozac, so he's feeling fine. And he did see a coyote this morning, and he freaked out about that while Grace was doing therapy over Zoom. Is what it is. I said hello to the coyote. I don't mind the coyotes. Big fan, actually. However, they are sort of, they just look at me. And Brock loses his mind at them. And then if I let him out in the front, he starts like sniffing all around. And he'll just like, it's like he's a trash dog. He came from the dirt. And he'll always be a trash dog, and I love that about him. But it's like the DNA overtakes him. And he's like, I'm a dog. I have to follow this. Very funny, Jesse. His dog did not go into the backyard for a full week because the neighbors got a new bucket. When I first got Brock as a foster, he was so, a leaf blew across the patio, and he was like freaking out over it. And then Grace went out of town, and I got sick, and I threw up. And I remember like looking over at Brock, and he just looked at me like, I'm going to take care of you. And I think that was the moment that he imprinted on me. And ever since then, he's like my little duckling, and I love him dearly. They're the best, in case anybody was curious. Again, with the like hard-hitting opinions. All right.
Wrong in the nation. We sure know what's wrong.
Tell us.
Consumerism and mammon, competition, speed and greed, urban sprawl, cult of the quick fame, quick success, quick fixes,
He's talking about me.
American innocence and arrogance.
Disney adult. That's what made me think about this talk, is the Disney adult thing. And there's nothing.
Born of a kind of willful stupidity, willful ignorance, wasteful and fearful and angry. We know what's wrong with Washington, with Wall Street, with media, with agribusiness, with the schools, with the fundamentals of American habits that do not mesh with the American dream.
Very
we
like
know as a nation that we underthink and overwork.
Mr. Rogers coded.
Mix passivity with bullying, preach democracy, and don't bother to vote. We know what's wrong. But do we know that knowing what's wrong is some of what's wrong? Nothing to fear.
All right, we don't have to watch that. It's a little 25 minutes, but how are we doing? How's everybody feeling? Was the guy a commie? Bit of a commie. Actually, no. He is a liberal. So, as a liberal, you probably think I am a commie, but that's because I am. Except in terms of my mass consumerism, my being a Disney adult, really wanting to go on a cruise, you know, having absolutely no desire to get involved directly in a revolution, general like historical ambiguity about differing systems, not being well versed in Marxist ideology or Marxist theory, I should say. But besides that, you know, Elliot liking an old white man. That is true. That is I would make that like the title for one of my streams moving forward, but I don't know that that won't get like the very, very not the wrong audience, you know? If I just talk about how let's go through some old white men. And you're right though, I do enjoy me some old white men. Or just old men or men, but never women. And they all have to be white. So one of those like moments where you have to be really careful when people join in and they think I'm actually being, because who knows, this is streaming on YouTube. People haven't seen me on that channel for 7 years. They don't know what I've gotten into. They don't know what kind of red pilling that has occurred to me, with me. I've been popping red pills nonstop, black pills even. Speaking of, I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna check in on Dave Rubin. All right. Now that's 44 minutes long. I can't do that with old Rubin. If you're not familiar with Dave Rubin, he is the single greatest political commentator alive. Undoubtedly one of the smartest human beings on the planet, Rhodes Scholar, consistent in his principles, accurate in his predictions, charming in his personality. Dr. Elliot really enjoys white men. Let's see here. I'm trying to find one like... trying to find a Dave Rubin clip here that, yeah, clip it. That is like emblematic of his brilliance. Yeah, let's do one where they're making fun of AOC.
Guys,
Oh, good lord. Sorry about that. Look at him go. Let's see what Dave Rubin is up to. He's going to go after AOC. And, you know, just as a general note in terms of politics and politicians, I feel like this is important now that, yeah, we got almost 7,000 people in here. I view politicians as tools, and I like them insofar as they are useful as tools, and I try my best not to get involved in like quote-unquote cults of personality. That said, Mamdani is one of objectively the most charming people I've ever seen in my life. I also like AOC on a personality level. That does not mean I agree with everything that they say or do, though with Mamdani I'm having a hard time thinking of something, but AOC definitely, I think, steps in mud sometimes. And if there's going to be one person who's not going to let that slide, folks, it's Dave Rubin.
LA right now doing a bunch of media hits. So instead of a normal Rubin report today, we've got my chat with Dr. Drew on his show. We'll be doing the same thing with my friend Adam Carolla tomorrow. And quick reminder, join me June 11th in Miami, daverubin.com/
Already got tickets.
You know, there's all the issues that we deal with during the day, but then there's how we have to deal with the interpersonal relationships. And sometimes, for example,
That's what we got to do better.
And gone through her own health journey and all of this stuff. And I just wanted people to celebrate that a little bit. And then, have you heard of this guy, Adam Carolla? I think maybe
he's going to be there.
Yeah, Carolla. Well, I couldn't get Drew. Could not get.
All right, this is all fine. This is all fine. Let's get to the making fun of AOC part. Make fun of AOC. You used to work for the Florida Senate. No way. I mean, please share to whatever degree you're comfortable sharing, because when I was a kid, I wore the judges' coats, the judges that decided the Bush-Gore election. I got to hang out in their chambers and dress up as them. So, little fun Elliot fact for you. Okay. I don't know this. I'm not seeing a lot of AOC stuff. Did you guys just put it in? Just put it in the thought. Oh, no, I clicked the right one. All right. Sorry, guys. This is a lot of. Decided. Yes, Jesse, they decided. Why? Was there something significant about that election? Did something happen in that election? Were there any repercussions? What about in terms of foreign policy? Did anything bad happen? Weren't any wars, right? All right. Yeah, here we go. Here's some This is interesting because Dave Rubin now. Oh, okay, here we go. He is actually in this video. He's going to do some AI slop. So we had some AI slop before. Not that all AI is AI slop, but the kind I like is. So.
This is a machine. If we want to burn this town to the ground, pull through that!
I saw a video yesterday that, speaking of AI, I thought was the single best use of AI video that I've seen, certainly in a political sense, yet. So we've talked a bit about Spencer Pratt, who is running, we talked about him a lot yesterday, he's running.
If you're not familiar with Spencer Pratt, he is kind of coming in to shake things up. He's going to shake the system up here in Los Angeles, and he is running for mayor. He apparently has some traction going, and he is running against, among other folks, blanking on the other one's name that I'll probably be voting for, but running against Karen Bass, who is the current mayor of Los Angeles. And yeah, let's see how this goes.
Running as a Republican for mayor of Los Angeles, and he was a reality TV guy who had no intentions to be in politics, but his house and his parents' house burned down during the Palisades fire. He's now seen the urban chaos and everything else, and he is running as a Republican.
I made a mistake of just adopting a dog due to the Palisades fires. I should have run for mayor.
Is there any chance he can win? Your guess is as good as mine. However, this is not from his campaign. This is a guy who is just a freaking incredible. We've already reached out to this guy. He's just an incredible AI creator. And here he is we're going to show you a portion of this Batman AI ad for Spencer Pratt. And it's interesting because, I keep talking about how New York City's becoming the Dark Knight with the clown courts and everything else. He basically takes that idea and he applies it to LA. Watch this.
Dave Rubin likes to use really very simple metaphors using movies. I know, like, it's kind of popular in that area. Like, Tim Pool will compare everything to, like, Thanos or whatever. So it's that kind of, like, in-depth analysis that I come for. Side note, the AI hyper-real look, I hate to say this, I find it mesmerizing. I find it really confusing as to why I find it mesmerizing. I don't know if it's just the weird like look of it, or the fact that immediately that it's AI, so something weird's gonna happen. I don't know, but it is like hypnotic a little bit. So let's watch this piece of art. DSA.
Please, I'm begging you. There's homeless drug addicts in front of the schools. My children aren't safe.
Look, if you were a transgender migrant, I could get you a free pussy.
Let's move the drug addicts closer.
Apologies.
Bass already solved crime. I endorse her. Next!
He's not gonna take it. Joe Rogan? Why is Joe? Oh, it's Commissioner Gordon.
Please, I just want to rebuild my home. It's been over a year.
Mom, look.
It's funny that they didn't put the Batman mask on because they wanted you to know that it's Spencer Pratt. I mean, great job. Oh, he's got it behind his head. I see.
This is a machine. If we want to burn this town to the ground, pull through that!
I feel so close.
You can do it, Spencer!
Now.
Tell me that is not the best use of AI you have seen yet. Everyone was nodding in here. Like, we're getting ahead on all of this. I have my guys training on all this stuff. Like, we're going to come out with some real bangers in the future on this. But like,
Heck yeah.
The guy, by the way, I want to credit him. His name is Charles Curran. We've already reached out to him to see if we could do some work with him. But it's like, you know, they used to say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's like an AI video is worth
They do say that.
over 1 million words, probably.
Dang, he's so good. That's the kind of stuff, man, you can't get anywhere else. They say a picture's worth 1,000. That means that's probably worth way more. So
what the emotion that can bring out, and again, just to connect this to the sort of technological horizon that we're on. Like, that guy, as far as I understand it, he created it in less than 24 hours because the day before on Twitter he was like, I have this idea, and then that was out literally like 16 or 18 hours later. Think about how this is going to change everything, and it actually could be cool. We will have all these AI.
Queen Lover, yeah, I know. It's these high-level ideas. You're going to have to reboot pretty soon. It's going into overdrive. What is it? I forget the exact quote, but man, it's a banger. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a break because all these high-level ideas. What was it? I can't remember exactly, but it's one of his better ones, along with like Jesus got along with Muslims.
And robots, and we'll be able to create new things that we can't even,
which has a slight fact error in it,
dream of right now, and we'll be able to do more with less when it comes to healthcare and
thank you for hanging out.
Productivity that will explode and everything else. And again, if you're
and thank you
interested in
again.
that, I really
Cheers.
recommend the interview that I did with Lonsdale, which will be up on Saturday. Guys, on June 11th.
All right. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I just think he's a funny guy. I mean, he's one of those dudes that I think has really found his way in life, and he's found his niche. I don't know who that is. I don't know what his demo is, but he does it, and I love the set design. I love the high quality production value. Yeah, the Michael Brooks impression. Yeah, I did open with a Michael Brooks video of them making fun of Dave Rubin's interview with Larry King back in the day. That was what I did on my first stream, because I wanted to make sure that I included the late and great Michael Brooks in this immediately, along with one of his more important contributions in the form of making fun of Dave Rubin. But he's an easy target, and it is mean or whatever, but I don't have a lot of patience for a certain kind of cynicism, I think, and pot calling kettle, I guess. But his I don't know. I just think he's got maybe not a lot of hard and fast principles. That said, that idea, that like image of the Democrats being the sort of the aristocrats, I think is going to spell a catastrophe if it ends up being that Gavin Newsom is the nominee for the Democratic Party. Even if he wins, I don't think that will be and I think if things stay the way they are right now, I don't think that'll be like a very close contest. I think that the Democrats will win in 2028, but my concern is that the damage to certain institutions and certain agencies will take so long to rebuild that you're not going to be able to make a lot of momentum unless you go in there with someone who's a little bit more ready to shake things up, like Spencer Pratt, than maybe a Gavin Newsom or a Kamala for that matter, if that makes any sense. And then you would hand it off to someone. Ideally, you would hand it off to someone in 2032 who's a little bit more progressive, and that's the only way I think there can be anything. I guess postponing catastrophe would be the most optimistic I can currently get. But that is how they're viewed. Like I have a hard time connecting with Gavin Newsom. He's my governor, and I do think he comes off like a rich kid, and I think that there's a reason that ad works and speaks to people, even though I think it's very silly and kind of dumb. Yeah, let's give Kamala a second chance, and let's definitely don't release the autopsy that the Democrats did on why she lost. Now, I do think it's funny that that's like the files they won't release, and then there's files that the other party won't release. But it'd be really cool if they just actually, just release the autopsy and said like, oh, okay, here's where things went wrong. But for some reason, they won't do that. And it seems like they would do that if the reason that she lost was the reasons that they're saying she lost. So I'm not going to get into that. I thought about doing that last time, but I'm trying not to get too political right out of the gate. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, like turn this into some kind of extreme. I haven't actually read it was fun. But I have read some of Capital. A lot of like yarn. If you want to learn about Marx's theory, read about yarn. All right, y'all. You guys want to chat? You guys want to do anything? Otherwise, I'll probably head out in about 10-15 minutes. Any final thoughts? Anything you would like to share with the class? Anything you would like us to feel out? Any other UFO stuff? We can find another video. I can find that. I like Mark Kelly. Or at least what I know about Mark Kelly. I guess I like him well enough. I like for the Democrats Van Hollen, I think. Am I saying that? Let me see if that's. Sorry if I knocked the thing. Let me see. Yeah, Chris Van Hollen. I like as a one-term president. I don't think we're going to have a two-term president for a very long time. I think it's going to be one term, and there's going to be a lot of rollover, which is why it has to be some kind of strategic going in. Also, Biden was supposed to be a one-term president, and then, we all know how that went. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I feel better about this one than I do the first one, and thank you so much for watching. And checking this out. I think it will get better. We have big plans. We're going to hopefully be able to take things like phone calls. We even take phone calls. In case you're a Majority Report fan as well. But I like the idea of taking phone calls and people leaving messages, submitting things. And so this is just the beginning, and it's going to be so nice, and you're not even going to believe it. And I'm going to figure out how everything works, and it's going to be so smooth. And the lighting I'm gonna make my face look less shiny, You think Mark Kelly is the perfect candidate? Yeah. I agree. I like Mark Kelly. Well, I wouldn't say perfect candidate, but I don't know enough about Mark Kelly. I only know that I don't know what there is to not like about him. I know plenty about Newsom that I'm not a huge fan of. My plan for streams moving forward, thanks for asking, is going to be 10 a.m. PST to 1 p.m. PST, or 1 p.m. EST to 4 p.m. EST, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays right now. So please subscribe on Twitch/YouTube or whatever. Well, not or whatever. Those are the two places. And so thanks. And it should be very fun. Yeah, I'm glad for Michigan too. And it looks like he just took over that polling quite a bit. And I like Plattner. I like Graham Plattner. Yeah, if we want to get real controversial right at the very end. Because I'm a sucker for these old white men. Always have been, always will be. I'm a big believer in, like, you have the policies, right? But then you have, like, the rhetoric, and you have the cadence, the, like, image of the candidate. One of the reasons I like Chris Van Hollen, like, I do believe in sort of placating to that a little bit. But, and, you know, I will consider you sus. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm from Megan Graham is actually getting a lot of these blue collar MAGA guys to vote. That's, yeah, see, that kind of thing is, I think, important, because you can actually speak to people's concerns in a way that I think people have a hard time doing sometimes in the Democratic Party, because they're like, you know what all the problem is the other side, and you can't have a political party that's just completely based in negatives. So. Yeah, I'm afraid of a Fetterman situation with him as well, but I don't see it. I know people are burned by Fetterman. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. And I definitely don't think, like, that's not a valid concern and that people shouldn't be worried about that with everybody. But I think that goes back to just, like, you know, they're all politicians. They're going to disappoint you. It's just like, what agenda do you want to see and how do you get that over the line? And if, like, I think certain things in this country take a lot longer than what our, like, election cycles allow for. So there has to be, like, a vision in order to get things across the goal line. And if if someone, I think, helps that way, but I don't know, I think I would say anything would be better, but my concern is that, like, if we end up in 2028 with, let's say, a Newsom, that in 2032 we will see like horrors beyond comprehension. Because I think that's kind of what happened with Biden. I think it's what happened a little bit with Obama and the 2008 financial crisis. And so I think if you don't come in and make, improve people's material conditions in a substantial way, then they're going to jump ship the next time. And when they jump ship, it's going to be whatever the Republican Party looks like then. And who knows what that will look like. The GOP is stealing seats by running shadow candidates and then flipping them once they're in. Hey, I mean, honestly, if that's what's going, are you saying that's what's going on with, or could be going on with Plattner? If that's the case, he is committed to the bit. But man, if that were, I would be quite upset. That would be one. I try to, like, keep my emotions pretty tempered with politics, but that would bum me out, especially because it's like, don't tease, don't like actually speak to people's needs and connect with people, and be like a blueprint for maybe a direction the Democratic Party could go in, and then turn around and not do it. I will be writing. I'll go Chuck Schumer on his butt, because I don't like all old white men. I will go Chuck Schumer on his butt, and I will write a strongly worded letter. Yeah, he's very feisty and very articulate and really questionable tactics. Yeah, I think we can get Joe Biden in there one more time. If we can get one more term of Joe Biden, I don't really know where we could go wrong. Man, that guy. I'm still mad about that. Like, him saying he would be a one-term president and then just not. Give him one more shot, guys. Come on, put Joe in. Put Joe in, everybody. Kanye 2028, why not? Depending on what Kanye you get, My guess is it'll be not the good one. DeFranco 2028. Sure, yeah. I would vote for Phil, I think. And I'm happy to see that Lindsay, his wife, is getting involved in Georgia politics. I think that's very cool. And I think more people should be doing that. Sit down, uncle. The only good thing to come out of the... Oh. I don't know what that is. Buttigieg should be headed to the nearest television studio. I think he's a rhetorically gifted individual who means well, and should just play that role. Policy-wise, I think he's not my jam. It's about the establishment Democrats versus the other part of the Democratic Party. I just think the Democratic Party should move to the right for once. You know? Finally, can we get Liz Cheney? If Hassan ran, I mean, I don't think he would get very far. But I also think that he would need to really have a lot of security. I already think that dude needs security on him. No, I will not be running. Thank you so much for asking. In 2020, that is not my plan. I'm a few dollars short and a few signatures short, I think. But pretty soon, that's all going to change. And in 2032, it's going to be Morgan Buttigieg. Thank you. Please donate. I'm going to run on a campaign that's this is what Sam Cedar said to do. Even though I don't agree with Sam Cedar on everything, I just have a hard time thinking of things off the top of my head that I disagree with. All right. Folks, is that good? Has this been a stream or a stream? Grace will not be running for politics. I frequently have to talk to her about certain things because for a lot of folks, in the it has been great. Okay, thank you, Jesse. But I think it's been a stream. Thank you. That's all I needed. Thank you, guys. This is what I'm hoping to cultivate, is this just absolute outpouring of dry humor. I very, very much appreciate it. I forgot what I was going to say, though. That's how I know that it's time. It is super interested. No, I'll take interested. Let's personify the stream. It's just a little baby right now. But it's going to be so good. Thank you. That's the best one I've gotten so far. Good. Had a great time. Thank you. All right, guys. I have to pee, and so I'm not going to take a break and come back for 10 minutes. I'm going to go pee. I'm going to see what's up with my smoothie a little bit. And love to you as well. I'll tell Grace I said that. Joe and Steve, I'll maybe tell them or something. Joe's texting me. I think I have to go through some Valley Folk stuff and look at the mail. Because sometimes I forget to do that. For months and months at a time. So busy. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Please like, please subscribe. And I will see you probably tomorrow. And as always, the truth is out there.